The Z to Z Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Z to Z Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Fream, and thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming and, in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If about achievements, we'll unlock it. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 128. You can also contact us with questions or comments on Twitter, at Z2Z, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, over at our forums, forum.z2z.com, or email us directly, contact@z2z.com. Well, here we go, guys. It is the end of May. We're having a lot of fun, and we have a special guest tonight. But before that, I want to introduce, we got Proulx. How are you doing, Proulx?
You know, I'm doing really good, Freem. It's weird, though. I'm having this sense of deja vu.
Deja vu. Well, then let me see if, tell me when, is it like a glitch of the Matrix kind of thing?
Yeah, I saw a cat, and then 3 seconds later, I saw the same cat. So, hang on, sorry. I've just been informed we actually have a cat. So, it may have been nothing. Sorry about that.
Perfect. Well, we have on the show Tarragon. How are you doing, Tarragon?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me back.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a fun surprise. You kind of just popped up out of nowhere, and
I've been feeling a bit. I've been feeling a bit better. I sort of came out of a bit of a slump lately, and just a few things kind of prompted me to kind of reach out to a few members of the community, and I guess try and I don't know, resolve a few leftover issues, and I kind of find myself enjoying it. So yeah, I'm kind of back for a bit, and we'll see how it goes, and take one day at a time. And that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you come in, you come out. Who knows? It's great having you around, though. It's been fun, and boy, you haven't wasted any time in Discord. You've been touching on all the topics, which actually is a great place to start. With the announcement of the game of the month for June. We have locked it down, the game of the month. There was a tie vote, right? So we had 3 games. It was A Way Out, Little Nightmares, and Bastion. And the vote went 8-8-6 between Little Nightmares and A Way Out. And I went ahead and just did a coin flip from Tatsumaki Bot or whatever. And he said, you guys are playing A Way Out in June. So
I tried to rig it. I tried my best to rig it.
You super tried. Now, when you were talking to M, did I wreck your little plan? Because to be honest, I voted for Little Nightmares myself.
I voted for Bastion, so I was actually
you did? Okay.
Yeah, so we were talking, and when it became clear that it was a tie, we decided that we'll just randomize the winner at this point. We're not sure who it was, and so because Michelle had already voted for one of the choices, she said, "Hey, Proulx, can you go ahead and flip a coin?" Which I actually did do. I flipped a coin, and it actually came out to be Little Nightmares. But in the interest of full disclosure and transparency, we decided to do it in public with a bot. So there was which is fine, whatever. I submit to the bot's ruling.
Well, the only reason is because I know you beat A Way Out. So
I did.
It's like the fact that if it was A Way Out, I would have just let it go, because I obviously would have said, well, of course he didn't rig it because he wouldn't have picked this game. But the fact that it went the way I wanted and the way that most benefited you, I was like,
Now, here's the big question,
Listen,
Freem.
Shady Proulx.
Which one did you vote for?
Little Nightmares.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
See, I didn't even realize that there was voting, and so I didn't vote. But I would have voted for Little Nightmares.
Well, you know what? July will be your opportunity, because I am going to submit that again. Anyway, that we can talk about that in July. I think this worked out pretty well. It was cool. M sent everybody the link of all the nominations that people did. So Tara can just kind of fill you in. Everybody in the community, if they were interested in being part of the game of the month, would submit 3 games and rank them. So your first game would get 3 points, your second game would get 2 points, and your third game would get 1 point. And then cumulative, we'd add up and find the top 3 games, and then have a community vote on those. And so that's how that panned out there. So anyway, we got a way out. I'm excited. Tarragon, you said, "Hey, let's get in on this now."
Yeah, let's do it. The game looked intriguing. It's just that kind of is a co-op. Well, obviously it's a co-op only game, so
right.
And I figured just with my resurging interest, let's do it.
Yeah. Do you have a copy of the game, or am I hooking you up with a token, or how are we doing this?
I shortly after committing to it, I went and bought the game, so I own it. I actually got it a little cheaper on EA Access as well. So
it would, yeah. I mean, and they had just run a sale here recently in the States, and so that was one of the reasons it was pretty popular. Digital copy for like $15 or something. And then I happen to have a reward code through Best Buy that it was like, hey, by the way, you're gonna, you got to use this by the end of the month. I'm like, well, all right, I guess I'm buying a game. Which actually, that's a great segue to a piece of news that we have here. I know they don't have it out in Australia, but the Gamers Club Unlocked is dead. So this was, were you a Gamers Club member, Proulx?
I am. Like, what happens to those of us who are active members? Do we lose our?
No.
Our
so the way it works is, so Gamers Club Unlocked was kind of like your Amazon Prime thing through Best Buy, and what it did is it allowed you to get 20% off all games that you bought through Best Buy, and you'd get like a $10 reward coupon for any pre-orders that you made. So what they're doing is they're continuing the $10 pre-order thing, just like Amazon or any of those other things, but they're taking away the percent unlock. You pay like a $30 yearly fee, but if you bought 3 games, I mean, that paid for itself. I mean, I easily got my money's worth on this thing. So existing members still have it. There is an expiration date. If you go into your account, it'll tell you how long it lasts. I think mine goes through September or October of this year. But once that's over, you will have no opportunity to renew. So that's it. It's gonna tail off and then be gone, and you'll just have to be in their normal reward zone program. But it was it was a great deal, especially if you liked physical games. Yeah,
that's exactly why I used it. I had a friend who came down and he bought his Switch while he was here, so he used my Best Buy account, and because it was such a big purchase, I essentially. The kickback that you got for buying a new console would paid for the subscription itself.
Yeah.
So essentially, to me, it was free. And then every time I would go, because Best Buy, I have a Best Buy right across the street from where I live, and so every time a new Xbox One game would come out that I wanted to get physical, I would just go and I'd have I'd pay $50, for a brand new $60 game or whatever. So it was awesome.
Yeah,
for
it worked
that.
out great.
But that's too bad. It's too bad they're not doing that anymore.
Agreed. All right. Well, so that being said, now let's talk about gaming, and we haven't talked to Tarragon in ages. So Tarragon, what have you been up to?
I've been playing a bit of Elite Dangerous.
Yeah,
you don't say. Really?
Just a touch, huh?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah. I actually got fairly heavily involved in one of the major player groups for Elite Dangerous. There's a kind of a end game meta kind of thing going on called Power Play, and I got involved with one of the Power Play groups fairly heavily for a bit, but I'm kind of pulling away from that at the moment because I'm actually planning an expedition out into the black, like to the other side of the galaxy, with with Planting 42 and Tony Coconuts, both listeners. Yeah, so that's sort of in the works. We'll probably leave in the next month or so and be away for most of the year, I would say, traveling around.
It's so
around
funny
the
to hear this. It literally sounds like you're packing your backpacks and going to Europe for.
Yeah. Well, it is a bit like
they're
that.
Going to Europa.
Yeah, it's kind of like Well, it is kind of like basically you're saying goodbye to all of the normal sort of everything that happens in the bubble, like all of the trading, all of the combat, all of that stuff. You're saying goodbye to that for as long as you're away because you cannot get involved in that at all because you're so far away from it, and it just does not happen out there. So it's basically you're going out into the wilderness, and even. If the game comes out with new updates in the meantime that brings new features, you're probably not going to see them until you get back. So it's kind of like it really is a long going away trip, and you kind of have to prepare.
That is so bizarre.
Yeah, and you have to prepare. You have to prepare your ship. You have to make sure you've got enough things to repair it if you get in trouble and all those such things. So it is really, it really does take a lot of preparation to to make a long trip like this. So and we plan to kind of do it in small chunks and meet up once a week or something like that, just to kind of go to a particular spot. That's where we'll go to, meet up there and take some pictures or whatever, and then move on to the next spot.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The last I heard, I mean, and this is somebody who doesn't play the game or isn't super involved in the news and stuff. Like the last big thing about Elite Dangerous was the aliens. Like, are they still around, or what's going on with that?
They certainly are. They're making a beeline for Sol at the moment. So they've been basically taking out bases, getting closer and closer to Earth, essentially. So the theory is that with the next release, so 3.1, I'm guessing that there's going to be some major event involving the Thargoids and the sort of foundation of Earth and Sol and around that area. But yeah, it's kind of wait and see. But yes, they are definitely there. There's been some other aliens discovered as well called the Guardians, which have basically got a bunch of extra tech, which has allowed fighting against the Thargoids to be a bit more effective. And yeah, still lots to discover and do, and yeah, they're still actively working on the game, obviously. So yeah.
Now I'm glad you're back, Tarragon, and far be it for me to suggest anything, but it seems to me that your trip out of known space happens to coincide with aliens invading Earth. Now, are you deserting? Are you being a coward here, or what's going on?
No, they are entirely unrelated. No, so I've actually, for the most part, you can pretty much. The funny thing about the game is because the game is actually such a big sandbox anyway, you can almost pretty much ignore major events like the Thargoids, because the Thargoids are going and taking out, say, a base every week or every other week, right? Or maybe two bases, like on a bad week, right? But there are something like 20,000 bases. So it's kind of like, yeah, I could just keep in my own little section over here where I've got my own kind of little bit that I've got my allied factions with or whatever, and I don't really need to actually think about them, or I can think about my power play stuff and it's got nothing to do with what the Thargoids are doing. So yeah, it's kind of just because space is so big, like even though conceptually it's all within sort of a contained universe within a computer, it's still big. You know what I mean?
It's so funny.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just a massive thing, and so you don't actually have to get involved in that stuff or feel threatened by it. It's more just an overlying narrative for the game, I would say.
Man, that's really interesting.
Sorry?
In regards to that, like, I just got finished reading Ready Player One, and like I think of that scale factor thing where it's just like, you know, you could just have planets upon planets upon planets, all just made up of nothing, like created in your brain, and actually not, and like, so you literally could instantaneously travel to any of those places, but they put in artificial constructs which make you have to spend weeks on your ship to get over there.
Or weeks or months.
Fascinating. Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah, or even, and not even that, the distances involved with some of those places, like because it's actually modeling the real galaxy. And I don't know if you know this about our galaxy, but our galaxy has actually swallowed several other galaxies over its lifetime. So we've
like
actually
the Milky Way, the real one.
The real Milky Way has actually swallowed other galaxies. So basically, we generally think of the Milky Way as kind of being like a flat disk, sort of, or a sort of a bulged kind of disk, right? However, what you actually find is that there are sweeps of stars that actually come out at perpendicular angles from the Milky Way, and that's actually where other galaxies have been sort of sucked in to the Milky Way, and they leave these little sort of trails of stars going like above the galaxy and below the galaxy. But they're very, very far apart. So I think they're actually modeled within Elite Dangerous, but there isn't actually, it's impossible to actually get to them at the moment with the ships that are currently in the game. So there's just cool stuff like that, you know. They've modeled it in such a way that sort of some things are actually impossible, but maybe one day we'll be able to get there with, you know, improvements in tech and that sort of stuff.
That's so weird.
Man, it sounds like this game just sounds so much up my wheelhouse, but the one time I played it, the tutorial didn't take with me. I don't know, man. I think I'll have to get back into it.
I think, well, if you did the tutorial from the early days, they were pretty crap. They're much better now. However, the game does have a steep learning curve. And you're probably much better off getting on board with somebody who has played a bit. and can kind of just show you the ropes, show you there are various different things you can do, give you a few bits of advice on how to fly ships as well, because that takes a bit of practice. I'd be happy to jump on with you at a convenient time and show you around. But yeah, the new tutorials are much, much better now as well. So, even going into the game with a brand new pilot, you get a bunch of little sort of tutorial missions as well. So you're not kind of thrown into the deep end just to do whatever, which you used to be. It'll actually go, hey, you should try out this thing and do this thing and this thing, and this will kind of get you started. So yeah, it is a lot better now for new players.
Interesting. Okay.
That's crazy. What else have you been up to besides traveling the universe? Anything else fun? I saw a completion on your tag.
Yeah, I got the base completion of Assassin's Creed Origins. That was one of the games that popped up on my random to-do list this month, and I haven't really been feeling that competitive for probably the last 6 months, I guess, 6 to 7 months. So I haven't really paid much attention to my random to-do list and haven't joined the GTA SC or anything like that. So, but this month I kind of got a bit more interested, and there was one that popped up on Assassin's Creed, and that really prompted me to go back to the game. And basically, I got the achievement I needed, then went off and completed the game. So it was kind of cool. So that was a nice completion. Another game I played before that was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Oh yeah, we just did a review set on that.
Yeah, I heard. I really enjoyed that game, particularly just after playing through the game and experiencing the whole thing. There's a little sort of developer vignette, I guess, just going into how they developed it, and because the concept of the game is really that the main character has a form of psychosis. To model it correctly and accurately, they actually spoke to a lot of mental health professionals and people just to actually get a description of, and I think they actually spoke to mentally ill people as well, just to get their descriptions of what they're actually experiencing and what it is actually like. So yeah, playing that game with headphones and having people constantly whispering and chattering to you is just really quite unnerving.
You're going to die. Yeah,
because that sort of thing was like, behind you, and that kind of stuff, which was really pretty cool in combat. But yeah, it's really a really good experience, I think. There's a few flaws in the game, but I don't think that those really take away from the overall experience as a great story, and particularly a great, probably the best attempt to mirror what it's like to have a mental illness in any kind of form.
We talked about it in Reviews Ed, and I did not like the game at first. I was very frustrated with the game, especially because there's a bit of a, I guess you'd call it a fib that the developers tell you as the player early on in the game. That's
interesting. Now I don't know. It's probably a little bit of a spoiler. Although it's been leaked around, but that's you're referring to the when you die, the darkness sort of takes you over, and it starts to corrupt you, and eventually it will corrupt you completely, and that's the end of your game. That's what the game tells you at the start, and that's basically a lie. But that's
which they justify it by saying, you can't believe what you're seeing. You can't, it's part of the theme of the mental illness sort of thing, which does make sense under that umbrella, but it also, I don't think that completely excuses it. It was frustrating. It was a very frustrating thing to learn early on. And I actually think it doesn't add anything to the experience. It only takes away from what they're trying to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure it necessarily takes away, but I don't think it worked as well as they might have hoped. It certainly, I think what they were trying to do was add a certain amount of gravity or weight to dying in the game, but they wanted to add that kind of heaviness to dying, but on the other hand, it's not there, and you learn this very quick because you're seeing the darkness creeping up on you, and then it just doesn't sort of go anywhere, and it's like, well. It's pretty obvious that there's no sort of real consequence here. So, I don't think it quite worked, but I understand what they were going for. But that's probably one of the sort of only sort of standout issues with the game. Besides, kind of not really teaching you how to do combat very well.
Do anything? Yeah. There's no tutorial at all in the game. That's why the beginning of that game is really frustrating. But I agree. Like by the end, it's definitely an experience that you're not going to have with any other game, and it's an experience worth having. So that's exactly what we talked about, and I kind of get the sense that you kind of agree with that. Yeah,
definitely. And I would say as well, having now played through it twice, I would say that go and use a collectibles guide. You're not actually going to get spoiled by most of them. They're just kind of usually they're just often in little out of the way bits that aren't too sort of quest centric, so they won't really spoil the story at all. They've got nothing to do specifically with the story, and they do give you basically the collectibles are little sort of rune story sections, and so you go to them and then you get narrated a part of like a Norse mythology or a story related to their adventures together, which is really interesting and compelling just for getting more detail about the universe. And even have the grittiness. So I didn't actually realize how gritty Norse mythology was until I heard some of these stories. I don't know if you listened to them, Proulx, but just the amount of death that gets involved.
Oh yeah. It's one of the things I commented that I don't like about the game is how it's so dark. It's grimdark, and it's like nobody smiles in that game. There's no jokes being told at any point. That game is so heavy. So you should know that going in because you're it does have a big fat warning at the start saying that it's a serious game, and if you've got it covers some pretty tough topics and covers mental illness. So if you've got these kind of issues, go to our website and see some health professionals. But
I think I asked Proulx this, and I'll ask you the same thing. Did you enjoy yourself? Would you say you enjoyed the game? Or are you just simply like, it's so cool that you're just glad you had the experience?
Well, it depends on what you mean by enjoy. I enjoyed the experience.
Sure.
The thing is that I also happen to I like horror movies. I like darker themed stories in general. So, for me, that I enjoy that kind of ultimately the story is essentially a hero's journey through her own psychosis and her own darkness, and comes to a sort of a conclusion at the end where she sort of discovers some things about herself and blah, blah, blah. So it is that kind of encapsulating story. It does come to a nice conclusion at the end. So I wouldn't say it's, it's a bit hard to say. Yes, I definitely enjoyed it, but I enjoy that kind of story anyway. So, but definitely parts of it were hard to watch, or hard to experience. I mean, there was one part where she's just at her lowest of the low after she's just been blasted to hell by Hela. And she has to cauterize a wound, and you basically see that up close, and it's just like, oh my God. So there's some really confronting stuff in there. And as for dialogue, the funny thing about the game is there's basically only one person in it. The person, the protagonist actually only ever talks to the people in her head. So that's the only conversation and dialogue. There is no other character except for the people that you fight, which is really interesting, I think. And some of the sort of there's like boss fights as well. We have a little bit of dialogue with those, but it's really interesting. It's really, really centrally focused on what's going on with the main character and within her head. So I guess that's basically was the design of the game. So anyway,
interesting.
Probably talked a bit too long about that one, but I'd highly recommend it if those kind of themes interest you, or if you want to get a feel for what having that kind of psychosis is like. Definitely play the game with headphones. It's designed in that way. They used a special binaural microphone setup to actually do that kind of thing. And if you watch the director's stuff, you'll actually see they've got this setup, and it's essentially like having a head with two microphones sitting on either side of it, and they have the people walking around those in the room. So basically they're kind of rotating around the person as they're recording. It's really interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, if you play the game, you'll definitely want to watch the series of videos they made on YouTube really interesting, fascinating stuff, both in like a game design perspective and also in like what exactly they were going for and how they achieved it. And they have like interviews with all of the people that they talked to in regards to the mental health stuff. It's really fascinating and really cool, especially after you finish the game, to kind of help you digest what you've just experienced. So I recommend anybody that's played the game to do that.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Cool. Well, Proulx, what have you been up to?
Oh, I've been up to basically one thing.
Yeah,
and
babysitting.
Nope. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I in fact I had to babysit poor Proulx. He's 30 going on, I think 64.
Yeah.
Because he stepped out of his car and I don't know, tweaked his back, I guess. The best that we can come up with, he hasn't been to the doctor officially yet, but maybe herniated a disc. He's been down and out essentially for days.
Yeah, what does a doctor know?
Now I'm getting deja vu. No. We should probably explain that, because nobody's going to really know what the hell's going on there. But funnily enough, this is the second recording of this particular show, and it was around about this point in the regular show that I stepped in. Except, of course, I wasn't recording. So, oops.
So if you want to listen to 2/3 of a conversation, I mean, we could get you the audio.
That was a little unfortunate. So we are, this is actually going to be...
That might be kind of funny. Because then you could like make up your own, voice on the side there, and just have a conversation with us.
Fill in the blanks.
Choose your own adventure.
Get the listeners to send in their own commentary to fill in the blanks, and we'll pick the best one and give them a prize or something.
What do you think Tarragon said?
Just cut like a 2-minute section of the show and do that. That might be fun, actually.
That actually might be fun. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. But yeah, so been taking care of him. Actually, you know what, Fream? This will at least a little bit interest you. It was me and him all weekend, just hanging out.
Yeah.
And yesterday we decided to play Diablo.
Oh, right. It's Reaper Souls edition there on the one.
Yep. Ultimate Evil edition or whatever.
Yeah.
It is.
Sorry.
And we played pretty much all day yesterday and pretty much all day today. And we started hardcore characters, and we are level 57. I want to say 56, 57. So it's our first hardcore characters, and we're not playing on too terrible. I think it's the third one up. Master, I want to say it is.
Sure.
And so it's been, man, I love that game. That game is so much fun.
It is fun.
So yeah, we've been just kind of going through and playing some Diablo.
Cool.
That was fun, but
it's a good time.
Only one achievement in that.
Yeah, so back to herniated discs for a second. So what is going on with Proulx there? Because I actually missed the last time we did this. I actually only caught the very end of that particular topic, and then I sort of talked about my own experiences with herniated discs. So I'm kind of curious
about how much it sucks.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. You were saying something in his lower back, I think, which is a bit different to what I had, but
So it's lower back and super localized. It didn't spread at all, I guess. And again, this is just secondhand knowledge. He's been talking to family members that are nurses and such. And I mean, he literally he could not move. And he said he was in the most pain that he's ever been in his entire life. It's slowly getting better as days go by.
Yeah, it will. Is it sort of, like sending pain down one leg or in a particular direction or anything like that? Because that's...
Nope.
Okay.
It's all in one specific spot.
That's interesting because I guess you're lucky it probably didn't quite impinge on a nerve or something then. In my case, I got one in my neck. I had a car accident, and I was fine after the car accident. It was actually pretty minor bingle. And
did you say bingle?
Bingle,
yeah.
You did say bingle.
Is that like an Australian word? Bingle. I mean, I can infer what it means, but it's just funny.
It's probably. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you guys probably don't know what a bingle is. I think it's probably a UK and Australian sort of
fender bender.
Maybe a fender bender. I was thinking, yeah.
Yep. I think we even have an insurance company called Bingle. Anyway,
it's not just the merger of Bing and Google.
No, although
it does sound like it though.
Or Jing. Yeah, so, and then, I mean, I'd already had problems with my back before. I'd basically, just due to years and years of bad posture, I'd essentially made my discs, 3 of my discs in my back, upper neck sort of disintegrate over time. And that's actually, well, this is actually pretty normal. It's probably something not very well known, is that discs tend to just wear out. Particularly if you've got bad posture or whatever, but they do actually wear out. That's actually just a natural sort of part of backs and getting older, unfortunately. So look forward to that, guys.
Right, getting old sucks.
Yeah. So I'd already had some problems with my back before, and then I had this car accident, and I was sort of fine, and then my back started getting progressively sorer and sorer and sorer. Until I essentially was like not being able to get out of bed. And then one day, I just woke up and I was in absolute screaming agony. Just moving was like, would yell out in pain just trying to move. And the pain was actually going right down my left side down essentially, if you can imagine a really strong, constant shooting pain down to your wrist. It was just, and like 10 out of 10 pain. It was really weird as well, because the way those nerves work, like what had actually happened is that the disc had essentially herniated, it exploded essentially, and was pushing on the nerve, and that nerve was sending pain signals to my brain that made it think that there was pain all down my arm. So it wasn't actually anything wrong with my arm, it's just that particular nerve was getting pressed on. And that was causing my brain to think, you're in super duper pain. And it was really kind of weird that the only relief I could get was actually to put my arm up over my head. So I would put my arm up and then my arm like literally directly completely over my head. And that would give me a little bit of relief. And the reason for that is that just kind of move the nerve just a little bit away from where the disc was in the positioning. It was really weird. So I was basically spent most of the night with my arm over my head because that was the only way I could not be in agony. But it was like I was on morphine and things like that, and it wasn't doing anything. And they actually ended up booking me in for surgery the next day, and I went. Yeah, they put me straight into surgery, and they did a little sort of snip, like as a cut in the front of my neck. They went through, took the disc out, put in a little spacer, they basically fused 2 vertebrae together. I've actually got 2 little titanium bits of titanium holding those bits of vertebrae together. So they've grown together now, but I've actually got the X-rays of that, which is pretty cool. So I'm sort of not really Wolverine, but I'm kind of
basically at this point.
I have metal on my bones.
Basically, yes.
I know.
Yeah,
just saying.
So that was not a very fun part of my life, and that was probably early 30s was when that happened. So probably about right, mid 30s for me. Yeah, but that's about when I got started with that, and that was just from years of like probably the previous decade's worth of just bad posture. So I'd say if Proulx is experiencing the same thing, it's probably an aggregate of bad back maintenance over the past decade. So he should definitely get working on that and work on core strength to kind of just stop that kind of thing happening in future, because it is not
get
fun.
Worse.
And particularly lower back is much worse than upper back. Like my upper back stuff was bad, but lower back stuff is much worse if it goes really bad. So
yeah, it does not seem fun. That's no good. So I've been being a good Proulx mate well, I guess I would just be Proulx, but taking care of him and helping him out. But yeah, so that's been interesting. But it did let us play Diablo all weekend, so that was fun. Oh,
because he's just incapacitated.
Yep. Like he is getting better every day. He's able to walk around at this point. He took a drive today, although he says he regrets it. But he's getting better as time goes on. So
I would say get him walking. He just needs to go for walks. And I would also say go and see a physio and start working on it as soon as you can. The sooner the better, because as soon as you can get the muscles around that area to strengthen up, the better you'll be in the long term.
Yeah. So that's what I've been dealing with this weekend. Oh, I had a win of the week and a fail of the week.
Oh no!
Same thing. Same event happened.
Uh-oh.
So I'm planning on going away for a wedding in a few weeks.
That's right.
So I
Yours?
figured I'd... No, not mine. So I figured... Nope. Actually, this is a very distant wedding. It's my friend's college roommate. I think I was like C team, third tier to be invited. I think I was probably the last person that got an invite. But I'm going because it's just an excuse to go home, and it'll be fun to get off work for a few days. So anyways, I wanted to, and because of GTask and stuff, I wanted to save up some points that I could drop before I left, so I didn't have to worry about it. And I've been getting very close to the last achievement in Clicker Heroes.
Right.
So close, in fact. The last achievement is for getting to level 3600, and I was at like 35. I think 80 was the last time I checked. And when you boot up the game, normally you have, because it's already, when it was idle, it's already pushed you to the highest level that you can get.
Right.
And you normally have to switch it from idle mode to active mode to continue that progress. Well, I had left it alone for so long that I'd accumulated enough money or whatever it was that when I booted it up, it had already moved past the 3600. So as soon as I booted into the game, it was like bloop. And that was it's a 200 point achievement. It's about 900 TA. So that was a little, I mean, I was disappointed for about, I'd say maybe a half a second, but then I was also relieved to be done with Clicker Heroes because I've been playing it for sure.
I guess it's long. Like, damn it, I just unlocked 800 points of TA. But on the other hand, cool, I just unlocked 800 points of TA.
Yeah. So done with Clicker Heroes. Still love that game. Can't wait for number 2. But I'm glad.
Are you gonna pay for number 2?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. I mean, you're excited to give them money.
I am. I got like 300 hours of enjoyment on Clicker Heroes. I'm
enjoyment. Yeah, okay, sure.
Whatever, man.
You got 300 hours of idling. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And then other than that, the only other thing I've been playing is been Minecraft in whatever form you want to take your pick. Story mode, which that's very little. I've just been idling that. Played some Android, played some Win 10. But for me, the big thing of the week is I played the Gear VR version of Minecraft.
Okay.
Prumate had an old Galaxy phone that he wasn't using, and he was trying to sell it. And I'm like, well, before you sell it, let me borrow it, and I'll get the stupid headset, and I'll play Minecraft on it. So this is my first VR experience, and I get sick after, not sick, but I definitely get a headache after about an hour.
Okay, so that's not terrible. Do you wear glasses?
I do wear glasses.
Yeah.
Yep.
That apparently is one of the factors in people who have issues with VR and other issues as well. Interesting fact about VR: women seem more affected, as a rule, by VR. They're more likely to get sick than men. Don't know why. There's some physiological difference there, but there's just some curious things about VR, which is probably one of the reasons why it's not ever going to be the mainstream thing until they can sort of iron out these particular kinks. But yeah, anyway, you were saying, sorry.
It's interesting. I'm actually going to have my girlfriend try it tomorrow, and I'll see if maybe if she kind of gets dizzier faster than I do. But it's interesting. It's a very interesting experience. I mean, you kind of understand how VR is going to be before you actually go into VR. It's
right.
You look down, you look up, you look over. It's weird in Minecraft because I'm still playing with an Xbox controller. So your head movement is still like your actual head movement is controlling the character head movement, but you also have the right thumbstick, which will still move you. Ooh. But it only moves you horizontally. It does not move you vertically.
Oh, okay.
It's very strange. I'm not sure why they went with that control scheme. But like if there's something below me, I have to look down. If there's something to the right of me, I can either look to the right or I can pan to the right with the right stick. So I don't.
Yeah, see, I think I'd just rather it just be just the head look, and that's all. You don't move with your look at all, and then just do all of your movement with the controller. Yeah. Because that way you've got the tactile feel for when you're moving, and that won't sort of throw you off with movement you're not expecting, which I think is where a lot of disorientation in VR comes in.
Yeah. It's an interesting experience, and Minecraft is a pretty good, I mean, it's my only experience so far, but it seems to be a pretty good use case for it.
Yeah, just because I don't know. I think the resolution would probably let it down.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, this is the new version, so it's the 4K. No, it was not on 4K. Obviously, not when I'm playing on a phone 3 inches in front of my face. It's still. I feel like at the core of it, there is a unique and fun experience to be had, but you're constantly limited by the tools you have. Like, if I could just wear some glasses in front of my face to give you the same experience, it would be 10 times better. But I have this ginormous, clunky, heavy, thing on my face weighing it down. I can't see anything. It's so hard to take on and take off and put on.
Is it really that much heavier? I mean, like this particular Gear VR thing?
I mean, it's more weight than you usually put on your face. I don't know what you normally put on your face, but
I mean, I could see like the Oculus, I think, is pretty substantial.
I think anything that's kind of heavier, like, okay, imagine like you wear sunglasses for a while. Sunglasses you generally won't sort of notice. Anything heavier than that you will start to notice pretty quickly. It'll start to wear. Now you're basically wearing an entire phone on your face to start with, plus all of the other surrounding to make sure it stays steady exactly where it's meant to be. So yeah, there is a fair bit of weight there. And it is focused on the bridge of your nose because you've got your phone there. So, yeah.
And if the straps are done just so, like, it starts to slip, it becomes hard to breathe through your nose. Like, it's just a lot of little stuff like that. Like I said, if VR was a seamless experience, a very easy experience, it might be compelling. But honestly, for what I had to go through just to get this thing set up, nah, it's not even close to worth it.
I don't know.
It would be cool.
Don't know if you've looked into this at all. Just as I've been working more closely with Android development myself at work, the Android Studio and all of the Android development tools, which are free, allow you to actually run a full emulator of an Android device. And I'm just wondering if you could actually run the VR version through a simulator like that. You'd end up with the two screens. But I'm just wondering how that would even work and how they develop for that.
Yeah, so from what I understand, because there were some talks, I saw a few forum posts about that. I don't think there's a way to get the achievements in that mode. I'm not sure. I mean, that may be wrong, but I just from quick glances,
you can certainly unlock achievements on the emulator, not necessarily with the Gear VR version, but certainly I know people have been unlocking some of the Android specific achievements.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, definitely. On the Android, yeah, I'm not sure about what I'm saying is I'm not sure about the VR emulator. Right, I don't know how that specifically works or if there's a way to get into that system. But, man, I don't know if playing it with two screens on your computer would be any better. Honestly, that would be.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be there. It'd just basically be like it'd have it'd show you a side-on view of like a pretend phone, and you'd have the two screens, the left and the right, there, and you could just focus on one rather than looking at both.
Yeah, I suppose you could do that. If I would rather do that, honestly, at this point after the initial experience, but I'm mostly done now with the VR stuff. So, so that's it. Minecraft, lots of Minecraft for me.
Going for the Apple TV version and the Wii version.
I've done the Apple TV version.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
And I will do the Switch version as soon as I get my Switch.
The Switch, yeah.
Yep, and once that version
goes live,
comes out.
Yep.
My son mentioned that the other day. He was just like, "Dad, totally got an achievement for doing whatever in Minecraft." I'm like, "Yeah, well, all right, great. I don't care." Like, I mean,
you probably
say it to him, but
you probably should care because I mean, achievements are a big part of your life. So he's just trying to find common ground, man.
It's weird to the Switch seems so strange to me as especially with all these Minecraft things where it's like, here's a little taste of the the little secret thing we have over here at Xbox, which is great. Like, you should totally get into this community, but it just seems weird to It's like when you're playing on your phone or whatever, and like the Google achievements come up, and you're like, "What is this? This is stupid. Like this isn't. You're not doing it right. I don't want these." So I just
it's besides the Sony ones, most of the achievements that seem to be pretty half-assed. Even the Steam ones are kind of a bit.
Steam ones are ridiculous.
Yeah. I will say though that for the non-Microsoft platform Minecrafts, they do it very well. It's not invasive. Like as soon as you load into a Minecraft game on a different device, it says, "Hey, you can sign in with an Xbox Live account, or you can sign up for free," and you can just like click "No thanks," and that's it. And then you have access to the whole game. There's nothing else regarding that. It's well done how they put it in there. So like maybe if you had some friends that were on Xbox that you could play with, you just have to log in. Right. But it's not invasive or hindering you in any way from enjoying the experience.
Sure. Yeah, and I think the fact that they're so open with all of the platforms on that as well is just really, really great. Except, of course, for Sony.
It's cool.
Except for Sony, of course, because, well, Sony.
Yeah, well, think of the children. I mean,
well, yeah, of course. We have to protect the children from.
So last show, I talked about just trying to sort out my gaming and how I'm going to spend all my time, and so it's obviously the end of the month, and so I need to do all my work I can on getting my the gamertag challenge done. So I played a bunch of just kind of garbage like Tumblestone, but I decided to play some Hand of Fate. We talked about that last show. Kronos had mentioned that. It was one of those fun games with gold ones, and so I decided, let's give it a shot. And I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It's a fun kind of collectible card game, semi CCG, but there is some deck building and stuff to it. But as you lay the cards, you go into like Batman combat every now and again.
We on the aborted show that we did, you described this game to me, and it actually sounded actually quite interesting. So I think
it's super fun.
I have unlocked an achievement in it for a bean dive, obviously, but I'll have a closer look at it because that sounds actually pretty cool. Let me just go and actually add that to my list now.
While I was waiting for you guys to sign on, I played another quest, another little run through, and like they get really like detailed, and it like so they'll have cards. I think I mentioned one of the cards before. There's like this goblin guy who comes into the bar, and he's like, all right, you can either give him your bread, some of your food, or you can give him some money, or you can just say, hey, like, what do you need? Or you just don't do anything, and so you pick. And so I've been doing, well, what do you need? And so like he gave me a shield, and I was like, okay, cool. I need the shield. This helps me in combat. So I'm doing another run, and I guess I already had a shield. He was like, what do you need? And he's like, oh, here you go. And he just threw like a big sack of gold at me. And so I got a bunch of money. And then later I flip another card, and it's the same goblin, but it's a different card. Like he shows up as another character. And he's like, hey, like I got kicked out of Goblin Community. Like, could I think
got kicked out of Goblin Town.
Well, it was like that. He was like, I think the king was being really I think he took it a little too far. So, me and his daughter, we were enjoying some of his wine, and some things happened, but like, it was pretty innocent. And
you're a married man, Fream.
The wine was so good. This is the goblin talking to me. Like, literally, that's what the goblin's telling me. He's like, so listen.
And you're like, don't tell me your life story. Just give me the goods.
Yeah. Do you think, like, you want to help? Like, he's got a treasure that I know about. And if you want to help me, this would be great. So I'm like, sure, okay, I can give you a hand. And so then it said, well, for accepting his quest, there's a new token on an old card of mine. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, so I in that quest line, I drew that card, and it's this lady who's like, she'll either give you gold, money, or that's the same, gold, food, or health. And so this time, her dialogue came up, and she's got that token on there now, and it said, hey, while this mistress is talking to you, or this maiden is talking to you, you can't help but think about Mr. Lionel, the goblin, needing a bit of elf hair. So you want to ask the maiden for some elf hair, or do you want to attack her? I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't think I want to attack her. So let me just ask, and we'll just see what she says. And she's like reluctantly cuts off a piece of her hair and gives it to me. She goes, I should just let you know, though, sir. I don't mind giving this to you here, but you stink of goblin. And just so you know, like, they might be a little bit of a trickster. So, just be careful. So it's like, I don't know where this quest line is going. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. When I flip the Lionel card over again and I give him his hair, is that good? Am I going to, like, there's a lot of those kind of, do I help? I mean, typically it's probably best to help. But there are other things where it's like, maybe I should try to run away, and then you have a chance to, randomized chance to escape or do something really awesome and maybe get some money out of it, or I don't know. It's super cool. I'm liking it a lot. So yeah, Hand of Fate, and then on my random to-do list, I did Wipeout, Create, and Crash real quick. A little Enigmatis 2, a little Fat City, which is that it's a super easy completion that I've just been kind of just chipping away at every now and again, because it's great for RTDL, because it's like you pretty much have the city unlocked fairly shortly, and so it's like, oh, hey, just finish all these with 3 diamonds. It's like, okay, well, there's an hour's worth of work, and boom, RTDL, yeah. So I've enjoyed that.
So the other thing, can we just talk a little bit about your kind of your life gaming balance? Because I listened to you sort of talk about things like the gamer tag challenge and how you have to get that in, and I know that you're doing things like your dailies or your daily runs and all that sort of stuff. And I can't help thinking, you could cut the scope of the things that you need to do a bit. That way, you've got more room to do the bits that you enjoy in gaming. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like I've got to say that I felt much happier and just better once I kind of let go of the whole kind of contest and have to compete and have to do all these little things all the time. So I basically only pick them up if I feel like it now, and the rest of the time I just want to focus on being happy in my life generally, but also just having fun with the games that I'm playing. So I just wondered how you felt about that sort of approach, I guess, rather than necessarily having to particularly cramming at the end of the month, because it feels like you're putting yourself under a lot of pressure.
Well, a lot of it goes to, okay, well, I'll start by saying I made my commitment to sleep and health halfway through the month, or early in May, and so I had already kind of committed myself to doing a lot of this garbage. I mean, these dailies
doesn't mean you could just say I'm not doing it.
Well, like I don't mind the Microsoft Word games and things and that. And when I don't have to do like all of them every single day, like that'll be nice. When I get the marathon stuff done, and I can be. I mean, they are Microsoft casual games, so it'll be nice to play them casually. Like, I enjoy, especially the word game one.
Can we just cut to like Frozen, Let Go about this point? It's just you gotta.
So there's that, and then there's the and then in terms of like the random to do list is I'll put together a list of like, all right, these are I break them down and I say, okay, these are the ones that take. So I either this is the amount of time it takes to get that achievement, and this is the amount of time it takes to complete the game. And if they're close, then I would consider saying, okay, you know what, I'll just go ahead and just finish that whole game. And that it's a level of satisfaction because I really enjoy completing stuff, and I'll get to experience the whole thing in, one night or 2 nights on a weekend, and that'll be good. I can deal with that. Other things now, like where I keep seeing these things come up, is like, okay, well, that's off the table. I'm not going to play that anymore. I can't do that. That's going to take too long. And so for June, I'm kind of excited to see what happens with my list, because I've switched my list around quite a bit to try and tailor to games that's like, okay, these are games I really want to play and that I can kind of pick up and just do little bits of and not have to like really dive in and just say, okay, well, this is my game for the next 3 months, because they're so significant. And while I'm still trying to figure out, because really, a lot of it's with my kids being of the age where they're still super, super dependent on parents.
Yep.
And yet they're independent enough where they have lots of sports and they have friends to go to and they have all these things. And so it's like, and of course I want to spend time with them. Like I'm helping my son get ready for some baseball tryouts, and I'm coaching his team, and my daughter's got soccer and all these things that it's like, I want to do with them. So, okay, well, gaming's pretty much drying up as the summer as this, the summer's upon us. So I'm still trying to figure out how all this stuff is gonna end up balancing, and I don't know.
I'm trying to. I'm sort of going through my game collection now, just prepping for next month's RTDL, and I'm kind of thinking about, I only really want to have one like big long game going at a time. It's just you just don't want to be juggling 2 or 3 really long games. You kind of lose the thread, and it's just not good. So it's kind of I think maybe and maybe the community can get involved in this, but maybe we can just sort of create a kind of a set of guidelines about what sort of things you should have, like how many of a certain like type of game is probably good to have in your RTDL list. And other shorter ones to kind of pad it out and that sort of thing. I don't know if you've got sort of thoughts on that. It's just be something to think about. But like having one or 2 really long games in there that might get picked, so that will be like the game that you'll be playing for the extended bit, and then having a bunch of other little ones that are kind of just padder or fill out ones, or ones that you've mostly completed but you just want to get the last little bits in and that sort of stuff. There's probably a bit of strategy in that, but yeah, anyway.
Right, and I like the idea of, as well with like the Game of the Month stuff, So I try to put games in. It's like, oh yeah, I'd be really excited about playing any of these, and hopefully, you could even try to encourage people to vote your way so like with A Way Out, Bastion, or Little Nightmares, like I would have been happy with all 3 of those, to be honest. There wasn't one in there where I was like, I had mentioned the last show about Bastion, where it's like, technically I already did it on the 360, but they added a few new things to the one version, and I really enjoyed my experience, and so it'd be fun to go back and try, because I don't remember much of that at all. I finished it, it was like an 8-hour completion, so I think I finished it real quick. And so, I was happy with all those, and it's like, oh, okay, I can get behind a Game of the Month style thing, and then I certainly hope that gets pulled on the random to-do list. That'd be a great bonus.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll see. The only other thing I've been playing is Sea of Thieves, and that's been fun because it's I've been playing with my son every now and again. I got my 2 Xboxes here, so he gets to use my good Xbox, and I get to use the crappy one in the basement. But it's been nice in terms of like.
Hey, Fream. There is no such thing as a crappy Xbox.
Yeah, well, it's my original one. It's not. It's a little dicey. But anyway, so it's been fun to play with him and just kind of like, hey, we're gonna go on a quest and go do this thing, and we've got about enough time to do one voyage, so we'll get 3 or 4 gold chests and turn them in, and great. That's a fun experience that we had together, and so I've been enjoying that part of it. But Tarragon, on Friday, you had asked me, like, how am I getting along with this game? And I was like, yeah, I like it. It's great. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. Well, after, we had our phone issues, I was like, well, I'm gonna play some Sea of Thieves now. I'm just gonna take a little break. It'll be whatever. I'm gonna go do a voyage. And so I opened up one of my gold hoarder quests. I hit the first island. I got it happened to be like 3 chests on there. One of them was the chests of 1,000 grogs. I don't know if you've seen this. When you pick it up, you walk around drunk.
Okay.
And so, like, that was fun. I tried to get back to my boat and, dodge sharks while I'm, like, tipsy all over the place.
Being drunk in that game is no joke. It's not even, like, close to being drunk in real life. It's like, you can't even... You
can barely walk. It's constant projectile vomit. It's great.
Yeah. I remember the first time I played the game, we all got drunk because you spawn in the tavern.
It's the first thing you do. I think it's pretty much it's the rite of fire in that game. It's the first thing you do is just drink all the grog.
Yeah, and you drink it all, and I wasn't even touching my controller, and I ended up outside somehow, like down the dock. Like, okay, that's a little extreme.
Well, actually, that is quite like being drunk.
I don't know.
It's like, so we're just in the bar, and then I was just like down the road at the seaside. I don't know how I got here.
Yeah. So anyway, so I had that on there, and then when I cleared out that island, I went to the next one. Had another couple chests there, and I found some journals with and it was a kind of a pickup quest, right? It's similar to the message in a bottle or something. Oh, I'll take that on. Yeah, sure, this is great. Okay, so I ended up doing 4 islands, right? 2 of the written riddles, 2 of the digging up X's. And on those islands, I got 2 side quests to go kill some dudes, Order Souls side quests. And so I killed the one, no problem. And then I went to the second one. That was trickier because I had some shadow pistol guys. That sucked. But I finished them off, right? So I have a villainous skull. I've got 2 marauder chests. I mean, some big gold items on my ship. I'm ready to go. You can already tell where this is going, right? So I've got all this stuff on my ship, and I'm thinking,
I've got a bad feeling about this.
I got like 10 chests so far. I mean, I should go for laden with treasure. Like, I just need, maybe a couple more. I could get 20 chests on my ship. And so I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I got to, it's getting late. I got to finish this last thing here. I'm just going to go there, and then we'll just see what happens. So I'm sailing into an ocean, into the storm. And, I'm on, like, the north side of the storm, and so it's like, I can see the rain coming in, but no compass issue yet. And all of a sudden, boom, network error, you got kicked from the game.
No!
What? No! Like, it'd be one thing if I got attacked by somebody, and it's like, well, I got greedy, I did this. But no, the stupid servers booted me off of the freaking game, and boom, all gone. Lost all my stuff. I got nothing. All that loot that I had on my boat, all that, and it's like, man,
they weren't anticipating the 200 people that were playing at that time, Fream. So sorry.
Really, like, God, I want to like your game, and then this. Although during that session, I had a little notes to come up that like kind of hinted at the Hungering Maw or the
Hungering Deep
or Hungering Deep, yeah, whatever it was. It was talking about that, and so like. I mean that launches here in a couple of days. So actually, it would have been yesterday if you're listening to this on release day. So that new update should be out. I'd be curious about what comes with that. But anyway, so that's what's going on there. We got a couple bits of news here that we should talk about. Nothing crazy. This is one that I thought was just kind of dumb, but nonetheless it was it technically was news. But people are touting 343 Industries confirms that Halo 6 is in development. What the?
Wait a minute.
I know, right?
Halo what?
6? No.
So
I thought
here's the reason
that
like. I mean, we all knew it was coming, but here's like the official statement now is because there is a this company, Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics, are building an arcade Halo experience called Fireteam Raven.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, what is that? Did you know anything about it?
Well, I watched the Mixer stream when Larry. I was going to say Lieutenant Larry, but that's not right. What is his name?
Major Nelson.
Major Lieutenant Larry. Wow, I wasn't even close.
He got demoted. Don't let him know.
Where he talked about it, and that they had the guys on the show, and they announced it. It's like literally an arcade game. It's so weird. It's like Time Cop.
Is it like a shooter? Like Time Crisis kind of thing?
It's like Time Crisis. That's what I was thinking of. It's literally Time Crisis set in the Halo universe.
Halo Crisis.
Do you play as a Spartan?
I think you play as an ODST. It's early on in Halo. I can't specifically remember the details.
Okay.
But I think it takes place during Halo 1. I can't remember the specifics about the story or anything like that. But yeah. But you can play with 4 people, and it's literally Time Crisis with Halo. That's exactly what it is. It is an arcade experience. And man, the only thing that would actually get me to play this game is if there were achievements. I would actually love to get arcade achievements. That would be so much fun. I doubt there will be, obviously.
Come on, Microsoft, make it happen.
It would be so cool if you could sign in. That would be really cool.
Yeah, if you just, could you imagine if you could get like a get your phone's like near field contact contactless thing, right? Where you pay. You can use Apple Pay. You imagine if you could sign into Xbox Live with that and just go to an arcade machine and go blip, and you sign in, and then you get your achievements in the game, and that'd be kind of make me actually go to arcades again.
I would do it. I would absolutely. I would actively try to get that completion. That would be fun.
That sounds awesome, actually.
If that's the case and there's achievements, I'm excited. Otherwise, this is the most empty, superfluous, silly nonsense that ever was. Like it's the most non-news for a Halo game of all time. It looked like Time Crisis. It's the same thing. You're a cursor on the screen and you just shoot at things.
Sure.
So kind of like most Halo games, really.
I'm totally down. I'm totally down for that. So anyway, Brian Gerard, he tweeted then just because people were nervous about this, and he said, "Hey, PSA, Fireteam Raven has zero impact on the 343 development team, which has already been working on the next console game. The Halo Fireteam Raven is built by an external arcade developer, just like the Halo books or toys aren't being created instead of the next Halo game. Plenty to go around." So simply just saying we're already working on the next console game, people are like, "What? Halo 6!" Like, duh, come on. You literally have
Halo Wars 3 confirmed!
Production company that only does this.
Well, are you ready for a hot take? The arcade game will be far superior to Halo 6. I can almost guarantee that. So.
Boo.
Wow.
I've been playing a lot of 343 Halo, and it is not good. It's not good. Comparatively to old Halo, just not good. So
yeah.
I don't know. I reckon some of the mechanics and the way the game works is fundamentally better than some of the early Halos. Like the Halo 1... The way Halo 1 works, without having different control schemes on it that you can do with the Master Chief Collection, it's not that great. Like you can't run. In fact, you couldn't. Well,
you couldn't run until Halo 4, but
exactly. So
that was deliberate.
My point exactly.
We're not gonna. Yeah, well, we could easily, and maybe someday we would do like a Halo sort of. Thing, but no, just because something has more modern.
I like
whatever. I'm not going to get
the narrative better in Halos 1 through 3. I liked the mechanics better in 4 and 5. If we could get some of the narrative stuff fixed and be a bit more concise in 6, then that would best be a sort of best of both worlds thing, I think.
Hey, I got an idea for you. 100 Spartans jump out of a dropship.
You could easily do that. I mean, it
oh
would,
my gosh, of course you can.
It would fit the narrative, certainly. Yeah. It wouldn't be out of place. But
so how many Spartans would you need to take on a lion?
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get to that.
That's a community question. Another piece of news here. EA has announced that they're buying up Gamefly's streaming service. According to gamesindustry.biz, that they went ahead and just bought the technical assets they'll now essentially be EA's streaming service. Does this do anything for you guys? Is there any?
I don't even know what the streaming service is. We don't.
Is there a name? Yeah, I don't.
It's called Gamefly Streaming.
Oh, okay.
So presumably like Gamefly, where you can rent games that would come to your house, that you would be able to rent them through this streaming service, and just similar to what PlayStation does for their streaming service, where you can quote unquote rent old games and play them by streaming them off of their servers
with incredible lag. Yep.
Super lag. Yeah.
I don't think the technology's there yet, so this is super uninteresting.
Although to be fair, the Mixer Faster Than Light stuff is getting pretty close. I don't know if you've been following any of the Mixer developments.
It's pretty good.
Where you can actually now share a controller with your viewers and have the viewers actually take over the controller of the game that you're playing on the stream.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty astounding. And the fact that it even works and is actually workable at all is just pretty astounding to me. Technology, eh?
It is pretty wild. And I do like the Mixer stuff. I think they do, it's pretty cool how well that works. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about Gamefly streaming. I don't hear anything good about PlayStation streaming. And I don't think, especially games that require you to be quick or have like very low latency, unless they're allowing, and I don't know about GameFly, if they're allowing you to, I highly doubt it, but allowing you to download the game so it's local and you're essentially just streaming the DRM, right? That I get to use this for a brief period of time.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it. It's not really streaming.
That's not streaming, right?
No.
It's downloading. Yeah, it's renting. It's borrowing a digital copy. Anyway,
it's the promise of the future. It will work someday in the future. We're just not there right now. Like you mentioned, the mixer stuff is super impressive, but it is still noticeable. And for certain types of games, it's unacceptable. Like you can't
anything
do
that requires split second, split half second or quarter second response times. You're not going to do it. Like you're not going to be having two pro Mortal Kombat fighters playing through streaming services and having anything realistically close to a proper combat. It's not going to happen.
But you might play Hand of Fate on it, and it would be fine.
Yeah,
right.
Anything that doesn't require the absolute real time sort of will be fine. But,
yeah. Now, you guys remember there was some talk from Mike Ybarra back in the day about the Xbox career system, like where those gamers who don't really care for achievements per se, but man, they put a ton of time into Forza or Halo, and they're like they should be considered very good at those games, but just don't have the breadth of a gaming library that we have. Well, and they said, oh no, we're not doing anything with that. Well, that's only kind of true. They might not be working on it right now, but they went ahead and filed a patent on this, and this was as of first quarter of this year, seemed to indicate by this Xbox career system patent. You guys looked at some of these details in here. They look kind of cool. I mean, there's a lot of the stuff that you see in the Game Hub, just trying to bring that front and center about details of the game that are picked up by Xbox tracking, not necessarily anything new, but if this system was in place where these things would be more front and center to begin with, maybe developers would encourage more of these. Like, I always go back to my stupid idea of getting all the titles in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and it was like, because then it could say, hey, he earned 600 of the 850 titles in Call of Duty, and that would be my in-game achievement. That it's like, hey, I played a lot of this game, and there's only 1,000 Gamerscore to go around, but man, I put in hundreds of hours getting all my P90 kills and all my Scar kills and all my whatever kills, and so that would be kind of cool to have those types of things. But
what it does is it metas all of the leaderboard stuff that games do on their own, if that makes any sort of sense. For example, if you have a game that has a leaderboard, it's an extensive leaderboard thing where you can compare yourself to all your friends with how many kills do you have, or how many deaths do you have, or like you said, how many titles, or how I was just playing Clicker Heroes. How many zones have you gone through? How many ascensions have you done? Achievements brought these sort of lower level game experiences out of the game into the wider ecosystem. It kind of does that to the stuff that wouldn't quote unquote qualify as an achievement. So
right,
it's kind of interesting. I would be worried that it would get lost in the shuffle. Not sure how they would really focus on it or bring it to the forefront. It would be kind of difficult. Yeah, I mean,
how to promote it and stuff.
Yeah, I don't care how many times you prestiged in Call of Duty Fream. If I don't play Call of Duty, what good does it do me? That sort of thing.
Yeah. No, that's fair from that standpoint. About if you're not well versed in the game, you might not know how difficult that is.
I take a little bit of issue. I'm just actually clicking through to have a look at the article, because it was actually Windows Central that talked about the Xbox career system, and career in quotes there. And Mike Barrett actually said that system as Windows Central described it wasn't in active development. That's just very careful in the wording there. The patent itself doesn't mention Korea anywhere in it, as far as I can tell. It's basically called the contextual gamer profile. And it basically looks like an enhancement of what we've already kind of got with game hubs and that sort of stuff, except more focused around the gamer profile sort of thing. So yeah, I think it might be sort of halfway between where Windows Central we're talking about and halfway between what Xbox are talking about here. I don't think that I don't think it's fair to say that they've basically turned around and they actually are doing this exactly what they were saying or what Windows Central claimed they were doing. But yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. But it is pretty cool. It does remind me a lot of I don't know if you've looked at the Ubisoft hub at all, where they've kind of got your gaming career of Ubisoft games, if you happen to have an Ubisoft profile. Because I've got a long profile going back to Assassin's Creed 1. So I've basically got all of these sort of Ubisoft achievements, essentially, for all of those games and all of those completions. And there's also even like little challenges that are not regular achievements that are up in there as well. And the nice thing about that is you can actually spend those points to buy unlocks in future games. So there's kind of some cool stuff going on there.
I like that.
Were you able to log in to Assassin's Creed 1 or does it just track your gamer?
You couldn't. I think it only came out might have been Brotherhood around that era. So you couldn't actually do it, but it did recognize that you had unlocked the achievements because you associate your gamer, your profile, your Xbox Live profile with it. It then read the achievement list and you said, you've got the completion, all of the achievements, and bang, went from there.
Gotcha. It sounds a lot like, for example, bringing it back into Microsoft's house, an extension of kind of what Halo Waypoint was. Where you could click on a specific game and really get, a little more specific on how all of these stats that you normally wouldn't get to see outside of those games in a more of a hub area. So yeah, that's interesting.
Well, even with Call of Duty did that too. The Call of Duty Elite whatever app or whatever. This is when all those in-game app or the second screen experiences were the big thing.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go to a different app on their phone while they play a game.
To be fair, I believe that was a Microsoft push for a lot of that, and when it basically fell through along with the Kinect, that got dropped pretty quick. So yeah, I think there was almost a requirement for some of the bigger ones to do that, or look at it. It just didn't work very well.
We had, and this is kind of a news feedback piece, but it was Kronos asked this and wanted. He's a little nervous, but he starts by saying Tencent just bought a majority stake in the Grinding Gears Games, the developer of Path of Exile. This is yet another video game development team the Chinese conglomerate has taken over. They have a majority ownership stake or outright own Riot, the League of Legends makers, Supercell, the makers of Clash of Clans, and Bluehole, PUBG, Terra. Among others less familiar with the Xbox crowd, they also have a minority stake in Activision Blizzard, less than 5%, and Epic, about 40%. Given these holdings, how is Tencent not a topic of constant discussion? Doesn't one conglomerate holding all these assets raise some concerns for us as video game fans? Because then they went ahead and helped with Ubisoft. Recently, that's where it came from. He said, here's some other holdings that they had. 9% of Elite Dangerous, 12% of Snapchat, 10% of Skydance Media, which is a Hollywood filmmaker group, and 5% of Ubisoft. He says, it sounds like xenophobia, but they've got their tendrils all over the place. And Kronos is wondering why we don't talk about this, like when we had talked about Vivendi and their, more frontal attack on Ubisoft.
It's potentially a concern. However, I haven't really seen Tencent do anything that I would kind of class as evil. Vivendi, on the other hand, I've seen them do lots of really nasty, bad stuff over the years, and I'm not even talking in games. I'm talking just during the era of Napster and MP3s just coming out. They did some pretty nasty stuff back then too. So I've just got a really bad taste in my mouth for Vivendi and anything that they do. Tencent is a bit of an unknown for me. So, I mean, all of the games that it's invested in is a part of are successful. So, the fact that it's invested in it is either just a sound investment strategy, that's one take on it, or whatever they're doing is working. And it doesn't seem like they're doing it in such a way that people aren't going and saying, "Oh, PUBG's become all loot boxes and money grab now." It's not like they're getting involved in changing these games outright to be, evil.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that's why we're not talking about it, because they don't seem to be doing anything particularly bad. That's just my take on it.
I kind of get that feeling too. Like, yes, and this might end up being nefarious. Like, in the long run, it could be this just slow burn where they just kind of gobble all these things up, but having because I don't think any of these, except that maybe that 40% with Epic, they're not voting shares. They don't have. Well, they
do have the ownership stakes in League of Legends, Clash of Clans, and Bluehole. So there's
those.
Yeah.
But like all these other ones where, like with the Ubisoft buyout, where they just helped, purge some of the stuff from Vivendi, like they specifically said that's not part of the voting thing. And the other list of all those that are small percentages, I mean, they could continue to buy those things up. But yeah, I think from a business standpoint, I guess that's where I would think. Now, that being said, the fact that they're Chinese, and I've been told as an American that I should be fearful of them.
See, that is the xenophobia. So why, if it was Finland group, would that make a difference? If it was, from Israel, would that make a difference? I think the only issue here seems to be that it's a Chinese group, and that is fundamentally xenophobia. The issues that might be concerned with it being a Chinese group is that China seems to be a little bit more lax around laws relating to intellectual property in particular.
Sure.
And corporate espionage is possibly another thing to be concerned with there.
I was thinking about their treatment of people and animals.
Well, yeah, but that's not what Tencent are involved in. They're not buying.
No.
So,
right.
You know what I mean?
No, that's true.
There's the humanitarian side of things. That's a whole other topic, which I wouldn't want to touch on here. But just from the legal standpoint and what we sort of consider as the right thing to do as far as companies go, it does leave a bit of a question mark. We don't really know how they guide themselves, I guess. However, even a huge successful company, if they're corrupt inside, they will tend to not last forever. And
no,
I mean, you can see it actually. I don't know if you've heard it at all, but in Australia, we're actually having a Royal Commission, which is it's like the highest level of investigation, government sort of initiated investigation into our banking sector at the moment. And some of the stuff coming out with the major banks is just incredible. Just some of the dodgy stuff that they've got away with over the years, and how toothless our watchdog is. So all of that sort of stuff eventually comes out, as long as there's, the will to actually follow through on that. So yeah, anyway, I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. I would chalk it down to, I haven't seen them do anything bad yet, so I'm not going to assume that they're going to do anything bad in the future, because I don't have any knowledge to really back that up with.
Right. Yeah, sounds good to me. Let's move into some listener feedback, of which we have a decent amount, but we can rattle through this as best we can.
Sorry, just before that, I've got one very small bit of news.
What's that?
It's brand new. The Xbox 360 got an update.
Yay!
I did see that. I got that one. My
it's the first update in 2 years, believe it or not. and it brings along a slew of changes. It was minor bug fixes and performance improvements. So, make it.
Thank you, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Phew. Well, glad that's over with.
Yeah, all right. I was waiting
First
for
question's from Philip Wendell. He says, hey, I find myself less interested in game sales since I have the Games Pass. I want to play games that are on there, so I make sure I get my money's worth. So now achievements and Games Pass artificially influence what I play instead of just playing what I want. Any of you guys feel the same way?
Hell yeah.
Tarragon, this is right up your alley.
I reached a bit of a limit, I think, probably around the end of GTA SC last year, where I just kind of hit the wall with achievements and achievements driving what I was doing game-wise. And I kind of had to stop focusing on contests, stop focusing on RTTL, stop focusing on GTASC, and just go and play a game I enjoyed for once. Because it was just taking away from gaming or any enjoyment of gaming at all, I think.
Yeah.
It was, as we discussed last podcast, it was basically becoming a job. It was becoming work. And
sure.
I go to work. I don't come home to work, and I don't want to work on achievements. If it's feeling like work, I'm not doing the right thing. Yes, I absolutely hear you. As far as achievements affecting how I play games, and I think that was imbalanced for me. I was certainly veering far too much on the side of achievements versus just playing the games for the sake of it. And things like Game Pass or having too many games or buying games on sales and those kind of things. There's just always so many new things to look at that you miss all of the things that you didn't get around to looking at before. So I've basically not been really buying any new games. And the funny thing was about my game buying, particularly sort of late last year, is a lot of what I was buying was just quick and nasty points for GTASC. So once I'm out of that, I've actually got little desire to actually buy a lot of the games, or I already own the games that are on sale anyway.
Right.
But I've got so many games that I just know that I should get back to, like a whole bunch of AAA titles I have not touched or barely touched that I should touch. And it's just like, that sounded a bit rude, actually. So, touch. But yeah, I can't sort of stress enough that you need to kind of keep that stuff in balance. I know this show was founded on sort of being achievement hunters and really getting sucked into that world, but it's very easy to go too far, I think, and lose sight of what gaming was about in the first place. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's interesting. I mean, and I kind of am along the same lines too, and with sales where I see them and it's like, yeah, typically I own most of those, and so it's not, or I have access to. But even in that regard, like, I still have my eye out for games that are interesting to me. And in terms of Games Pass, like for me, the value in Games Pass is getting to play the new titles, because I was excited about Sea of Thieves. I'm excited about State of Decay 2. And so for me,
same for me actually. I got the Game Pass for Sea of Thieves, and I'll basically keep it because it gives me access to the brand new Microsoft Studio games, and all of the other stuff is just kind of bonus for me, and I don't really pay attention to what's going in or what's coming out. I would say perhaps if a title was there that I really was interested in was going out, I might worry about it, but I'm not going to worry about some random title going out of Games Pass, because if I really wanted it, I could go buy it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And buy it for cheap anyway, because it's, So, Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
No, but that's exactly it, where it's like, sometimes, like if because I have the games in my random to-do list that I'm interested in. So I let random to-do list pick more of what I play, right? Because as I've only put games in there that I'm interested in completing or playing.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good approach. I think the random to-do list, I think a lot of people do use the random to-do list for that reason.
Yes.
But I do think that having every single game on the planet in your pool is a bit ridiculous.
Proulx.
You definitely want to.
Hey.
And there's nothing wrong with having the goal of completing all of the games that you own. No, there's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't like Smirnov. I really look up to Smirnov's sort of goal in that regard, and that's he's really quite inspiring in that respect. I'll never get there.
Right.
But there is also nothing wrong with creating a cold list of ones that you want to target first, to make your enjoyment of it a bit more give you a bit more enjoyment of it, I guess. Sorry.
To be fair, my list for random to-do list does not include all the games I own. It only includes the games I've started. So I could do that, but I don't want to maintain. I don't want the thing for me with the RTDL is that I don't want to maintain it. I want it just to be a natural extension of what I've already played. But it's a really interesting the question, because over time my answer has changed. Like, I don't know, 2 years ago, anything under $10 would have been a steal, would have been an insta buy.
Right.
And then and then it became under $7 or under $5. Now at this point, honestly, if there's something under $2, I'm kind of like, maybe it'll be free next month,
Right.
Like, I already own so many games. I have so many games that I need a compelling reason to buy something at $2 or $4 or $5. It's really interesting how, and we've talked a lot about this on the show, but it's really interesting on how the amount of games has really influenced my buying decisions, because over time I just have access to more and more games through Gold, through if you have Games Pass or EA Access, like you just accumulate games on games on games on games. I don't buy a game anymore unless I am interested in it or I need it for whatever reason. I kind of ignore.
We discussed this last time as well. Do you ever buy games specifically for the points in, say, a contest like GTASC?
I do, but I even filter under that. Like, if it's something I need, if it's like, oh, here's an easy 1,000 under 2 hours, and it's $15, I'm like, ooh, $15 is a lot of money. I don't. Well, I'll spend $5 on a 3-hour game instead, or a 4-hour game. Like, I will do it, but it's really a time versus money ratio at that point.
Yeah.
And since I have access, again, like I said, to so many games at this point, I don't know. The time has changed my buying habits for sure.
Well, and with games with Gold too, it's like, so often you see the list and you're like, for me, games with Gold is like, oh, cool. What old 360 game that I own goes on backwards compatibility this month?
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I already own that. There's no bother. And the one titles, it's like, those will all be, I'll either might get a new one, maybe, or it's something like, boy, I really wish I played that before this thing became free to me. There's so many of those as well.
There's been quite a few of those. What was a recent one? I think it might have even been something like one of the, like, Rise of the Tomb Raider or something silly. It was just like, I bought that on day one and it's just gone games with Gold. I haven't played it.
For sure. Beast Middle asks, he said, are you going to check out State of Decay 2? It's actually a pretty good game, if especially for being in Games Pass. And that was to me, obviously. Of course I'm going to play it, Beast Middle. I will let you know. Ooh, I won't be on the show next week, but I'll let you know when I get back to it. He says, but the bigger question looms. He asks, Sony announced in an investor meeting that the PlayStation 4 is winding down in 3 years and will still kill in AAA games and most of the B games. So what is the counter-programming, if need be, for Steam, like digital library and backwards compatibility? Might not cut it in a couple of years. Do you make a new studio now saying that quadruple A games is at best a few years out? What's the plan here? What are we doing?
Well, as per last time, I took issue with the whole concept of quadruple A. It's like, what even is that? It's I mean, AAA games are the top tier. It doesn't really matter. You don't really add an extra A. It's just AAA games are just getting more and more expensive to produce, I think, is the problem there. As far as like counter programming, I mean, I'm not really quite sure what the questions are going for here. I mean, the PS4 winding down in 3 years just says to me that they're working on their next console, and that's where they're going with that. So, and I mean, Xbox, so we're already working on their next console, so it's just the next generation, whether that's an iterative thing, which I highly suspect it will be, or if it's a brand new generation, which, if anybody's going to do a brand new generation of console that completely removes backwards compatibility with the previous consoles, it'll be Sony. I think Xbox have set a precedent now that basically anything going forward will play anything that had gone before. I think that's what they're trying to aim for, and I think that's really good for gamer goodwill. It means that I can sell my Xbox One X in 3 years' time, and I buy the Xbox 2X or whatever, and still play all of exactly the same games that I could play, plus the brand new ones that are taking advantage of the new power that's come out. That's a huge selling point, to have the access to the entire library of the last 15 years on a single box that you can plug into your TV.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Xbox just stays the course at the moment. I think the Games Pass is great. I think EA Access is great. Neither of those things are emulated over on Sony. Sony have always been kind of the, we'll copy games with gold, and we'll copy achievements because like they were good ideas, yo. But yeah, I don't know. I think Xbox are going down the right path, and I think that I guess with the next generation we'll see what happens. But
do you think so if Sony comes out and announces that they've got a backwards compatibility type program on their new system, or is that going to even make a splash? Are we just assuming that that's going to happen?
I think they would make more of a splash if they didn't have it. To be honest, I think it would be bad for them if they didn't have it now.
Sure.
Xbox have made such a big statement by having it that Sony have to follow through and do the same thing. Otherwise, they will get compared badly. So, because imagine if you've got the choice of two consoles. You've got one console, you've got a brand new console with a brand new set of, you've got your base 10 games on release, plus the entire backlog of Xbox One games, plus the entire backlog of Xbox 360 games, or you can buy the brand new PlayStation with its 10 release games. Which one do you go for?
Right. Right.
And if they're otherwise exactly the same type of systems, I mean, what do you do? Anyway.
Well, yeah, look, the thing is, we've seen this before with Sony, with the PlayStation 2. When they're on top, they tend to get a little bit
complacent.
Yes. And look at, you talk about backwards compatibility. That's one thing, but they the cross-platform play, that's the new thing now, and they don't want nothing to do with it. Because they're on top, they can dictate that. But it's the same sort of thing, I think, with backwards compatibility. It's just Sony saying, hey, we're Sony, we're number one right now. We can't be defeated. We can't be toppled. We're just going to stay our course. So I don't know. I think they're making the same mistakes over again. I think we're seeing history repeat itself. And I don't know. I hope and expect that exclusives will become less significant in the future. And if that's the case, Sony will be in a bit of trouble.
Yes, I agree. All right, fantastic. We got another question here from Puddenum.
Puddenum. Is it like synonym?
Puddenum.
Antonym?
Puddenum. Hey, how do you guys combat achievement fatigue versus love of a game or story? Do you ever just want to play a game for game's sake and not to pop achievos?
Hell yeah.
Kind of similar to what Philip Wendell just said.
I think we've been covering this topic pretty strongly this episode, but yeah, for sure. I certainly did that with Hellblade. I didn't look at any guides or even look at a collectibles guide for that at all. I just wanted to experience the game. I'd heard some really good things about it, and once I'd heard the initial things about it, I just said, I don't want to hear anything else about it. I just want to experience it for myself, and I don't want to look at the collectible guides in case they ruin something for me. And
right.
And that was how I went through the entire game, and it was great. I think certain games really benefit from that approach. I don't think it's an all games thing, but certainly games that are built with the narrative in mind, like that game, yeah, for sure. Just try and experience it for the story. Other games,
I totally agree.
Other games mix and match, like Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed Origins, the story, it's an alright story, but you're not going to really lose sleep over it if you get spoiled. So yeah, looking at the guides for certain things, you kind of, because it's kind of a sandbox game anyway, you kind of just pick up what you want to do at any particular time. So really, the game is designed to not do the same thing over and over again or follow through on one particular thing, and that's all you're doing. It's designed to go off and do other bits and pieces. So that lends itself to looking at achievement guides and looking up and working on other little tasks within the game. So yeah, I think it really depends on the game. But yes, certainly I have definitely gotten achievement fatigue, and I think the only answer to that is to not go for achievements for a while. Really?
Yeah, and I mean, I like spoiler-free walkthroughs, but it's hard enough to find walkthroughs, let alone spoiler-free ones that someone's going to take the time to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, typically if it's a game I'm really interested in, if it's a game I'm just going for achievements, I don't care. Like, yeah, let's just do that. But now with limited gaming time, it's just that's not as interesting, unless I'm doing a contest, like Proulx, right? You're all about them points.
Yeah, well, what I think helps, I mean, this isn't specific to story mode stuff, but like having a game that you just play for fun. Like, for example, if I have a friend that wants to play Rocket League, I'll probably drop what I'm playing to play Rocket League. It's good to just have a game that you love to play, and if there's points, it's great. Like I'm sure you kind of feels the same way a little bit. Tarragon with Elite, but you'd play it anyways. You know what I mean? You'd get deep into that game either way.
Even if I it's a when, because I will get all the achievements completed in Elite Dangerous. I'm still going to be playing it after I get all the achievements. Yep. There's no doubt about that. Actually, speaking of the achievements in that, there's probably the most well known of the high value achievements in that game is called Triple Elite, which is for getting elite in trade and combat and exploration. So I've already got exploration elite. I am I'm 2% off getting trade elite, and I'm about 1.8 ranks away from getting combat elite. So I'm actually pretty close to getting my triple elite in that. But that won't be my last achievement. I've been kind of saving one of the achievements in that list, specifically for my 500k, which is coming up, well, as soon as I start earning points again. So I've been saving it for a while, and I thought this was a pretty cool idea. There's a pair of achievements in the game called I would drive 500 miles, and I would drive 500 more. Obviously referencing the Proclaimers song.
Right.
And I've already got I will drive 500 miles, but I was thinking that I would like to, for my 500k, get the I would drive 500 more.
That's clever. I like that.
And also get the completion of elite at that time. So that's my aim for around about the 500k mark. But yeah, anyway.
Nice. So you can hold on to that until you're ready to.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. You don't. They don't clock up very quickly, the miles on the SRV. So unless you're actually actively trying to drive a lot, or you've spent a lot of time in the game on planet surfaces, that just won't.
How far are you away from 500,000?
In score, I'm at 440 something at the moment. So
okay,
yeah, I'm a bit of a way away. So
yeah,
but the nice thing about that particular achievement is that I can take an SRV with me. So SRV is basically the ground vehicle, and you have them on your ship.
It's the Mako.
Yeah, a bit like that. Much smaller though, and more inclined to just break. It really is. It's kind of like you bump into like a rock that's about the size of your fist, and it will take about 2% of your hull. It's like, what the hell, dude? Yeah, but the nice thing about it is if I get all of the other achievements wrapped up before I leave the bubble and go on this long exploration trip, I can still unlock that SRV achievement whilst I'm out exploring. So it's kind of a nice little thing I can set up for later.
Sure. Great. Hey, we got a question here from NBA Kirkland. He asks, this is a hypothetical, similar to the 100 duck-sized horses. What is the minimum number of unarmed men it would take to kill a lion if they were all put in an empty gladiator-type arena together? And what would be the best way to do it? Assume they're wearing next to nothing, no shoes or clothes to help them, and there's nothing around in the area to use.
Right.
So what's the answer?
So, well, we already went through this before, and the obvious answer was the minimum number would be 1. Yeah, but I have actually I did some research after this because I just thought, how big?
Shut up! Are you
I did. How big do you think a lion actually is? Because it would probably surprise you how large they are. Because it's
probably like 300 pounds of muscle.
Well, if I told you that they stood take a male lion. A male lion stands 4 foot at its shoulder, and they go to about 10 feet long. So you're already talking something pretty large. They're about 150 kilos plus.
About 300 pounds.
Oh, we use freedom units here.
Yeah, so basically, you're not going to be running into the side of that thing and knocking it over, and it is huge. Huge. You just, the amount of strength that's going to be in a lion. Yeah, I wouldn't.
So, do we think a single man could take it, or a single man or woman could take it down?
Well,
I mean, in theory,
I'm sure it's happened.
Right?
I'm sure it's actually happened.
I'm sure
at
it's
some point.
Theoretically possible, but realistically, I'm not even sure 4 people could take down a lion. I'm struggling to kind of think of how many, without weapons or anything like that. I'm really struggling to think of any number of men that would actually take down a lion, to be honest.
But to be fair, if you take away weapons from humans, you take away their greatest advantage.
Right.
If you take away their ability to create and use tools, then it's like taking away the lion's teeth and nails.
So might as well just if we could, if we even this up a bit and we take away the lion's feet. Or legs. So, take away the lion's legs versus 4 unarmed men, which would win? Probably the lion still, but
Well, I mean, the lion would just lie there because it's just a torso, and then you just kick it to death.
It would just gum you.
No, it'd roll.
It would roll.
It is still a 125 kilogram rolling machine. It's not.
Yeah, but it's not like a crocodile. It's not meant to roll. So
it'd be like that. It'd be like that scene in one of the Austin Powers spy movies where he's slowly driving the steamroller towards the guy. And I think it was Nick Cage doing a cameo. No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The thing
Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
I think. That's a great scene, by the way. We should you should look it up because it's really funny. The more humans, stop. It's a pretty. The more people that you start to add, it's a pretty exponential increase of chance of success for humans. So 1, you're probably going to lose. 2, you're still probably going to lose. I think beyond that, it's going to even out pretty quickly. 3, 4, 5. It's.
I think you got to get double digits before it gets realistic.
No way.
Yeah, think about how big that is. This is the thing. Yeah. It's 4 foot high at its shoulder. That means its head is higher than that, right? So it's if you're 5.5 or 6 feet, right? You're only just looking down into its eyes. This is a big thing. They're super strong. We're not. I don't know if you've ever experienced or been told about, say, how strong chimpanzees are compared to humans.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
They're super strong. And lions are going to be super strong. They have to be. They're predators. They have to be able to take down prey at speed, things that are really struggling to try and get away. That's not to be messed around with, and they're going to be able to rip the shred off, to shred you really quickly. And they're smart. They're going to go, okay, first person's here, I'm just going to shred their leg and then leave them and go and shred the next person, because that disables one person. They're not going to get distracted and stay on one person. They're not dumb. So, 10 people minimum now, after researching it, those things are crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, I would think that too, especially given the, when you got the. Yeah, because the lion would just incapacitate, so effectively your first 3 people don't even count because they're just lion food. You know?
Yep. It'll be interesting to compare our answers from the last run. Unfortunately, my audio wouldn't be on there, but just our answers from the last run were much more in favor of humans in this particular battle. But now,
I think I said 3.
Yeah,
I haven't shifted. I've been steadfast.
You could trick.
So.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Anyway,
something I didn't know as well is that lions actually aren't the biggest sort of major cat. Tigers are actually bigger than that again. So yeah.
So yeah, but you hear stories, and again, of course, these are the outliers, the exceptions. But you hear stories of like people taking on bears with a stick, man. Like,
yeah, but did they actually?
These things happen.
Did they kill the bear, or did they just get the bear to go away?
That's a good question. No, there was definitely a man who killed a bear with a stick. A bear that was actively, aggressively attacking him. And if we're talking about pure size, I mean, tigers and lions are not going to have anything on a bear. But yeah, again, I accept that that is the exception, not the rule. So that's fine.
Okay, but let's see. They didn't have a stick here. If they had a stick, that's a whole different story.
Well, that's my point. You're neutering people. It's not fair to do that.
If we had one person with a stick and then maybe 3 other people to just get mauled, that might work.
Distractions. The distraction people. Yeah.
But the thing is, as soon as you have a stick, then you've got leverage, and you've got leverage to be able to club something and do damage. The only way that they can hurt that lion is to use their fists and feet. Or bite it, potentially. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, what's the best case scenario here? You jump on its back and then bite its arterial nerve in its neck, so its arterial vein.
That sounds disgusting. I don't want to do that.
I'm just going to pull its tail till it gets really mad and passes out, I think. It can pull me around like water skiing.
Okay, if I can't have a stick, can I have a laser pointer?
Actually, that's a nice one. I was thinking though, how is sort of defeating the lion work here? Can you what happens if you befriend the lion? Does that mean you win?
That would work.
That's a good point.
That would work, yeah.
That's a good point. Like if you can just get it to lay on its back and rub its belly.
It's a cat. It would not like that.
It depends on the cat.
Yeah.
Do you like me to scratch just above the tail? Come on.
Yeah, right. So you get that leg to kick. Reset42 asks, if Microsoft made online multiplayer free and replaced Xbox Live with Games Pass, complete with 1-year subs, and ditched games with gold, do you think this would be better or worse than it is now? All right, so what is it now? Now we pay $60 for online multiplayer. We have to pay $10 a month for Games Pass, and that gives us games with gold. Okay, so he wants to say we don't pay for online multiplayer, but the $60 a year is a 1 year of Games Pass, but we get no games with gold. Is it better or worse?
I would pay $75 a year if it included what we get with games or with Xbox Live Gold, plus games with gold, plus Games Pass.
So what we have now?
No, because you don't technically get both of them for one price.
For the year. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I actually, and I may be in the minority here, but I actually don't mind the fact that multiplayer is slightly gated towards people who can actually pay for it, because it does stop people from abusing the service in a lot of ways. And even though, we all complain about, having kiddies in multiplayer and screechy voices and all sorts of crap or people just being dicks. Sorry, that might be a word you need to bleep out there, whoever edits that one. But as much as we have that, we at least have it gated a little bit that you require, some kind of access to this service that is normally a pay service, whether it's, you get a free trial or whatever you do. So I'm actually kind of in favor of multiplayer access being gated in that way. So, and again, it may be the minority there. But I could see a combination of Xbox Live with Games Pass being together as a kind of singular unit. Maybe a discounted for what both of them together would otherwise be singularly. And I think a bunch of people in Discord chats have been kind of hinting that they kind of expect that kind of thing to be announced at E3 as well. So, yeah.
And it will be called Xbox Live Gold Platinum.
Xbox Live Diamond.
Do you think there'll be that will just be what's offered, or do you think they will have purchase options where you can get just the normal $60, or you could go ahead and get the upgraded version where you get the Games Pass added on, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think that they would immediately remove the previous options. They couldn't, because they have an existing base of them. There's still billions of codes out there for all of that stuff. So no, they wouldn't get rid of it. That would still be an option. I would say that if you just want the multiplayer and you don't care about having extra games, sure. But I can certainly see them doing a combo kind of offer. Now that Games Pass has kind of got its legs and has had a bit of time to kind of grow, and things like State of Decay and Sea of Thieves being sort of fairly reasonable successes with the program.
Yeah. And Crackdown, when that comes out. So
I guess ditching games with gold in favor of Games Pass, though, is an interesting one. I think the fact that we've got this add-on value with the game with Xbox Live Gold service, I think if they were to remove games with gold, they would need to decrease the cost of the service, because they're nominally taking something away. So then we're not getting as much, even though it didn't initially come with that in the first place. It's kind of a funny thing, isn't it? They didn't have it initially, and then they added it on as a free kind of extra. And now if they took it away, we'd be complaining, because it's something that we should have.
Right.
So I don't think that they could really ditch it, but I don't think that they'll ever completely get rid of games with gold. Oh, sorry, the Xbox Live Gold, at least certainly not in the very short term. Anyway, getting back to what the actual question is, do you think that would be better or worse than now in that particular situation? I think it would be worse, personally, because I think multiplayer would be a complete free-for-all of dicks. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it would be worse. I don't think, I like the option, especially getting the games with gold. If you took those away, then you would need to make sure that those Games Pass games stayed longer than, I feel like you're getting tastes more now. The first set, or some of the more, kind of ones that are just always on sale, those haven't left, but I see games that are already leaving, and it's well, that's been in there for 2 months, hasn't it? And maybe I just haven't paid much attention to what goes in and out, but the fact that things leave, whereas games with gold, they never leave as long as you continue to pay your $60.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I sit on that one. Want to make a community announcement here. I forgot to say this at the top of the show. We had a little mini boosting group for Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. We had 4 people complete it on the same night. It was Matriarch, Big L, Toadstyle Venom, and Rocker Dude. They all finished Lara Croft and Temple of Osiris, presumably as all 4 of them together. So that's kind of fun. And they were numbers 1007, 1008, 1009, 1010. And it seems like Rocker Dude has the fastest internet, because he was the first one to complete that.
It's either that, or he has the lowest numbered. In the servers somewhere, every single gamer would have a number associated with it, like your database number, essentially. So he just might happen to have the lowest one of those in the processing group. Yeah, or yeah, who knows how they do it? They probably got multiple servers processing it multiple times. So yeah, it could be any kind of thing. It's random,
right?
Just call it random. I'm getting too technical. Shut up, dude.
Skeptical Mario asks, if you always look at an achievement list before starting the game, are there any instances where you were surprised to unlock something? So do you, if you've decided to forego doing the list, I think, so my comment before was that, with Sea of Thieves, I looked at the Sea of Thieves list, but they purposely were all riddles. And so, and nobody had played enough of it, and they were all broken, so you didn't know if you're doing it right. And that was super fun. I really liked the idea of, the mystery behind it. Where I was like, oh, cool, this actually, this worked. And so that was fun to not know. But I mean, typically I look at the lists just so that I don't miss something stupid.
Yeah, but even if you like, I'll look at a list before I play a game, but I don't memorize it. So, like, I'll look at it, make sure there's no missables, that sort of stuff. But
yeah,
you know, there'll be plenty of times.
That depends on the game as well. Again, if we take the Hellblade example, I didn't look at the list of that because I did not want to have any chance of spoiling the story. No, and I made a specific choice to do that. Assassin's Creed, on the other hand, I glanced over the list. I knew that there were a few things there. Nothing was missable. Most things in Assassin's Creed's games are not going to be missable. I noted that a few kind of interesting ones were there, so I thought I'll do that when I can or when I think of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's, unless you're some kind of savant, I don't think you're going to be memorizing 50 achievements and every single criteria that they unlock just by glancing over a list. So, you're going to get surprised by unlocks, and sometimes things unlock when you don't expect them to. So, yeah, but I couldn't give you a specific example.
And there's a lot of games that have cumulative achievements, and if you play them enough, unless you're actively going for those achievements, you're going to pop them at some random time. For example, like play Master Chief Collection enough, you're going to start popping achievements left and right that you didn't expect necessarily. So, you know, a game with a big enough list like that, you're going to, you killed 100 of these enemies, or you got, 50 of these medals.
Sure.
I guess is that what's meant by surprise though? Because I mean, if you knew that those were on the list, and yes, they pop. You looked at those and you knew that they were going to unlock at some time during your playthrough. You weren't actively going for them, so it's not really a surprise that it happened. If you know what I mean. I'm not sure if that's what's implied by the question. Anyway,
yeah, I don't know. That feels. Yeah, I guess I don't know if that's how you want to define it, but if you weren't expecting an achievement, what I assume what this meant is like, when the achievements are supposed to, quote unquote, to pop. And if you do a thing, all of a sudden I killed this person and I got this achievement. I knew it was coming eventually, but I got it right now. That's still a surprise.
That's fair. That's fair. I think it's probably the more surprising things that happen as regarding achievements is when they don't unlock when you expect them to.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and going back to Halo, some of the timed runs, the speed run ones, don't unlock in a particular way. If you happen to restart a mission or something like that, it just won't unlock the time. Yeah, so anyway, frustration.
Yeah, right. Skeptical also asks, have you guys ever had dreams about achievement hunting?
No.
Nope. I don't think so.
I don't know if they've been achievement hunting per se. I know I've had video game dreams. And I know I've had dreams about grinding, like if I was doing something, because it was just over and over and over, and I would do that right before bed. But I was also sleep deprived, and those could have been hallucinations. Yeah. So,
See, I just don't.
A fine line.
I just don't dream because I don't have a soul. So that's.
I was just going to ask, how often do you dream?
Yeah, never.
I dream all the time.
I dream every night for sure.
I often have zombie nightmares, and it's weird because so sometimes, and it's not so much anymore, but they used to be nightmares where I was afraid I was being chased and I was being attacked, and so I would kind of freak out. And recently they've been more of I'm trying to help the zombies, and I'm frustrated when I can't talk to them. And so, I'm trying to talk.
Well, you're not speaking zombie. You just got to get the. It's all in the gut. It's the guttural.
Right. It's weird. It's super weird.
Do you ever have teeth-related dreams, Fream?
Teeth? What do you know? I don't think so.
Yeah. This is a fairly common dream scenario, but in a lot of my dreams, I lose my teeth. They're falling out as I'm talking.
Yeah.
I have actually heard of that as being a common sort of dream trope, actually.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's awful. But
do you ever get the ones without pants?
Nope, never been. I've never had one of those kind of dreams.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those actually. That was back when I had a soul.
Before you traded it in.
Yeah.
I think my most common dreams are about alien abduction.
Ooh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't like that much. I think those are my most common nightmare scenarios. Anyway,
so
final
you
question.
You shouldn't play Prey then.
No, final question. Shababble, Laurel or Yanny?
Oh,
this is the big internet thing now. It's not where there's clearly a right answer with the blue dress, yellow dress, or black dress, or whatever the hell it was. Right?
Wait, there was a dress?
Yeah, you remember that stupid thing?
You never saw that? You never saw the dress?
Oh, I saw the thing. I didn't think it was a dress at all. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Laurel or Yanny?
I haven't actually listened to this. I've managed to completely miss this meme. Woohoo!
Well, it's an image, and
nope,
it's script. Oh, it's actually a song.
It's
okay.
a
So somebody just made the image.
I know what it is. It's basically a pronunciation of a word. So it's like one of those things that they go, how do you pronounce this? And somebody has submitted a way you pronounce this particular word, right?
Right.
But some people are hearing it as Laurel and some people are hearing it as Yanny. And that's the cause of the debate. I've read more about this meme than actually being involved in it.
That's funny. I didn't realize there was a sound component.
No,
I have no idea.
Only a sound component. There's actually no other component to this.
No. Have you seen the image? Where they script write it so that it looks like both.
Oh yes, I've seen that, but it's based off of it. The point is, like the dress thing was a visual thing. This is entirely audio,
right.
And it really depends on the quality of your speakers and how close you are to them. From what I understand, because I've talked to a few people, and it seems to be that that's the case. I can't remember. I'm definitely in camp one of them, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to listen to it again. I think it was Laurel. I think I was Camp Laurel, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But no, give it a listen. It's very interesting.
Yeah, so there's the script writing that looks like where they made it.
I'm listening to it right now. I hear Laurel.
Yeah. But if you have headphones on, if you place them away from your ears, you can definitely start to hear it.
Oh, if it was further away.
Yep. It's definitely based on
I can hear the Yanny, but the only thing I can hear the Yanny in is that I'm hearing the high pitch. There are two divided pitches there. The Laurel is the low. If you're an older person who can't hear it quite as high, like the highs, you've listened to a lot of loud music, and so your ears aren't as sensitive anymore.
You're partially deaf.
So you might be able to hear, if you're younger, you'll probably hear the higher tones that are going on in there. And I can hear it because I do audio production. I'm kind of listening for that. So I think that's where the Yanny comes from, and it's usurping the rest of it. That's my opinion on it anyway. Are you listening to it, Fream?
I am.
What do you hear?
I can't hear anything but Laurel.
I agree. Laurel is definitely the predominant.
So all that means is that your ears are ruined. And somehow
I
mine
thought it would be the other way.
Yeah.
Wait, you hear Yanny?
No, I hear Laurel.
No, I think most people hear Laurel.
I hear Laurel, but I can hear where the Yanny would be coming from. And I'm pretty sure if I were 20 years younger, I would be more likely to hear the Yanny.
Hashtag Team Laurel, hashtag Team Golden Blue Dress. We're all on the right side here.
So is this the thing where you could have your cell phone ring at such a frequency that
I think
kids would hear it, but teachers couldn't?
Potentially, yeah. But it's a fact of life that your ears actually do start to lose the ability to hear much really high tones,
certain pitches and stuff.
Yeah, and that's just it's not even from listening to loud music or anything like that. Your ears just wear out over time. So yeah, I'm wondering if that's what's going on here because you can hear there's a really kind of high sort of noise in there with the start and the end of Laurel, the L's. So I don't know if you can hear that, but I think that if it was to go a bit higher beyond what I could normally hear, and maybe if I put on my super duper expensive headphones, I might be able to hear it. I'll check it out later. I reckon that's where the Yanny is coming in for other people.
So, I had a friend, an old coworker of mine, who he went to the doctor and he had some ear damage. He worked in a bomb factory, and it's like he'd have to like detonate bombs in a closed environment so that they didn't explode or anything. So that's where they would bring them. And so
didn't they actually explode?
I was just gonna say that.
I mean, in a controlled scenario, right? It's like their big concrete bunker. And I mean, so they're loud, right? He still has ear protection, but they're still loud. Anyway,
actually, sorry, just to diverge on that. It's not so much that they were loud. He had ear protection, but the problem with explosion or bombs is that they're it's about it's about the wave that goes through air that's not actually the sound that you hear, and that's actually where most of the damage from bombs occur. Is that damage? Anyway. That's an aside.
So, he had some ear damage, and they went to the doctor, and they're like, "Okay, listen. So we went through and checked your frequency, and you're actually deaf in this frequency range, which is the same frequency as your wife's voice."
What? No way.
And so he's like. He's like, yeah, so, you're going to really struggle listening to her, and I have a doctor's note for you.
This isn't just a joke.
It's one of those bits.
It sounds like a joke.
Yeah. No, I swear, man. It's legit.
I'm just going to look that up on Snopes. That's really...
Yeah, right? Does this actually happen? But, like, they're constantly, like, I can't, like, there'll be instances where my wife's like, I said this, or this happened, or something, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, I don't know. Like, is that possible?
Selective deafness, as they say.
Selective deafness, for sure. I think that's about it for the show, guys. I think we can kind of wrap this thing up. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Tarragon, it's great having you back in the community, back on the show. It'll be fun playing a way out with you in June.
Yep. When do we get started?
Looking forward to that. I don't know when and how this is going to work. I got a couple busy weeks here in June.
You guys need to flex your bro muscles and be ready for some bro hugs and some bro fives, because this game is all about masculine friendship appreciation, and enjoy it because it's fun.
Well,
it's a good game.
Good for building bridges, then, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Who is going to do
or driving them apart, one or the other. No, just do that thing. God,
the muscle thing, right at the beginning, where
that's a good question.
Who's got the fastest thumb in the West?
Oh God! Good luck with that.
Well, A, I'm not too bad, but B, I also have a thing called Cronus that I can plug into auto shoot.
Let Tarragon do it then, Fream, because don't do it manually if you can avoid it.
I kind of want to see, though. I'm very curious.
All right, never mind. Tarragon, let Fream do it, and he can do it manually.
Okay.
All right, anyway. Cool. Well, hey, if you guys listen and enjoyed the show, I want to, we have plenty of places you can come help us out. Give us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or whatever you listen to. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/Z2Z. We give away games each month. So, if you can contribute financially, awesome. Thank you so much. If you can't, I get it. That's a big ask. So, just spreading the word to our friends. That's awesome.
So how far away are you from going pro? Quit your day job and do podcasting and gaming full time.
It'd be pretty awesome. I think I need a little bit more. I'm fairly well compensated at my job, so I don't know. I don't think we can get there quite yet.
Not quite yet. Maybe a couple more months. We'll see.
Maybe a few more followers, and we'll be on track. Tarragon, is there anywhere that you want people to bother you, or you just say, don't worry about that right now. Just find me on Discord.
Find me on Discord. That's probably the easiest. I'm currently hanging around on the Z2Z Discord server, and as long as my mental state holds up. I should be there. I'm on Twitter, but I'm not generally too responsive there because I don't visit it all that often, although I have turned notifications back on now, so that might be one way. But if all else fails, contact you, and you can contact me.
Perfect. We'll do exactly that. Proulx, what about you?
Well, people can find me on Twitter as well, at OneUpDan. That's the number, not the word. Or you can find me on Xbox or on Discord under Proulx. I guess I could spell it out for you. It's Proulx. So that's
you almost didn't know how to spell. Yeah, I'm sure you got your own word. And I'm Freamhole at Freamhole. It's FREAMWHOLE. And of course, you can reach us here at the show at ZZZEDTOZED. And we have an email address, contact@ZZ.com. So thank you, everybody who helped make the show possible. I hope you enjoy the rest of the content we have on the tail end of this show. And on behalf of Proulx and Tarragon, I've been Brandon. And to all of you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening. And we'll catch you next episode.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Z to Z Podcast presents Review Z.
All right, so welcome to another installment of Review Z. You're back with your hosts. I'm Spaspole, or Damien, or whatever I choose to go by. As I like to say for work, as long as you are buying something, I really don't care what you call me. And I got my co-host, Planting, Warren.
Howdy.
How's your evening going? Or morning?
Actually, pretty good.
Morning, technically, right? It's Wednesday morning.
Oh, yeah, Wednesday morning. That means I just finished a viral session, hopefully. Yes.
Was it good?
I'm hoping so. I'm pretty sure it was for Charlie Murder, I think.
Oh. So, we're both out, right? Are you still on the individual set?
I am still on the solo.
Lucky. Actually, I'm not really sure if you're lucky.
Not with all the viral stuff I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah, no. On a side note, I was able to complete some other games this week because it didn't matter. But that's not what people are listening to the first part of our segment for, are they?
No, they want to know the juicy tidbits for what's going to be happening as the GTSC bonus in an hour, I bet.
Or two. Yeah, whenever.
Or two.
Whenever those early bird listeners listen to this as soon as it's dropped. So, what is... I'm so out of it. You can tell because I'm out of both the solo and the team. Is this a team bonus this week or is this solo?
This is a team bonus. Yeah, we do the team bonuses and Mango and Proulx get the honor of doing the solo ones.
Oh, it's like it happens every other week, so I should always be used to it. You'll get this question every other week. Then going, are you team or solo bonus this week?
Yep, team bonus for us this week.
All right. Well, I guess we're out. But what do the other teams have to look forward to?
Well, assuming you're still in the contest, you have to make sure that both teammates have unlocked at least 10 achievements on the Xbox 360 platform throughout the period. So if you do this on your Xbox One, double check that you're connected to live because online achievements are the only achievements we count. And that emulator seems to disconnect a lot randomly.
So what's the name of this bonus? Do we have a name?
Oh, sorry. Yes. This is called Blast from the Past.
That is pretty much. You know what? It should be 10 achievements from the Sega Mega or Sega Master Drive collection.
I would have loved to, but you can't be that specific. I can't be like, play this one game. At least the achievement art, like the picture for it, is like a nice 8-bit icon. So I mean, that's the best I could do.
Do these new retro field games, like we'll be talking about in a second, do they count as retro?
Unfortunately, it's not an Xbox 360 game. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, good luck to all you G-Task people out there. For those of you who are sticking around to listen to our review this week, we thank you. And I know some people have actually been watching me stream it this week. Hopefully people are enjoying that. And I forgot to mention last week, or no, the week before, but will be this week, one lucky listener, well, hopefully listener, I mean, I guess you could enter the Gleam competition and not listen to the podcast. And randomly,
we'd like to think you listen.
Yeah, we have a code up for this game. I'll say wonderful because I mean I did like it, but yeah. So look forward to that. I will be putting back up I'm going to be trying to do it weekly code giveaway contests. You know, you have your ways to enter via Twitter, Twitch, Mixer. Going to the website, downloading stuff. Might start opening up more ways to enter to win, but you could be a lucky recipient of a Xbox One code of our game for today, which is Death Road to Canada. Who is this published by? Is that a word? Yukio? I guess Yukio Publishing.
I don't know. I'm thinking acronym, but I couldn't tell you.
UKI. I don't know. But Yukio Publishing is the publisher, developed by Rocket Cat Games. And this was released originally May 8th. As some of you may have known when we did our last review, we were actually prepping to have reviewed this game, but due to some untimely events in Canada, they decided to push off the launch of this title, even though it had actually technically been purchasable for like a few hours at least, right?
I believe so, yeah. It was on the marketplace briefly before it got yanked.
Yeah, so again, it was originally released May 8th, but I think they just relaunched it last week. And this is a multi-genre. This truly is a multi-genre game. We have an action RPG, so role-playing, survival, and roguelite. I think, is there any others? Would you almost say beat 'em up?
Maybe. I mean, just considering how much of that mechanic is in there. I wanted to note, TA doesn't call it a roguelite. I actually threw that on there myself just because of the way that the zombie points that we'll explain work.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot to this game.
There's a lot. And this is the game that I would say would be perfect for our Canadian host and our zombie host. But I don't think either of them will ever get around to playing this. So we'll have to give our opinion. So, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that they'll take our word for it, if nothing else.
Yeah. So, time estimate. Yeah, I'm putting 80 plus hours. Right now it's uncompletable, but we'll get to that too. But this is a time sink game, which is kind of funny because the games themselves only last. I mean, what was I streaming? I was getting 20 minutes maybe run through before my entire party would die out.
Yeah. The best I've made it is 3 days out of Canada, and I think that took me maybe 40 minutes, and that's probably more of just strategic trying to plan things, and it was really, I could have busted it out quicker.
Yeah. So basically the plot is America's overrun with zombies, but it's okay in Canada. If you notice my Twitter feed, I was talking to Smirnoff about this, and I was going, I don't understand why, why is Canada not infected? Like, the zombies just know not to go around the border. He's like, no, it's the healthcare. And I'm like, see, I knew it. Healthcare. But anyway, Canada's safe, and it's only a 15-day drive. Okay, so the first question, obviously, where am I driving? You're driving probably from southern Florida. Let's say you were in Disney World. I don't know. You got to be on that. You can't be on the Panhandle because that would have been, yeah. And again, we might argue, how does it physically take 15 days to drive from southern Florida to, because I mean, you would have to literally follow the coast highway and go up through the rural outreaches of Maine. Yeah, I know where you are, Warren. We were arguing. It's like, dude, that's a 4-day drive, not 15. But
yeah,
I was thinking about
it's silly.
Yeah, but I think about it, right? Like, if there's a zombie outbreak, I think the freeway systems and all that get completely locked down. You can't go through them. So if you had to go surface roads for the entire, which is what it sounds like you're doing for the most part, right? You have to drive surface roads. And it's plausible. It's possible.
And the only thing I'm going on is what I'm looking at graphically, and this game always shows you driving on a paved highway.
Well, that could be a state route. It could be US 1 or something.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that you're going to take the interstate up, but I mean, even if you take, state routes, a 15-day drive.
All right. So as you said, maybe 8 if you're a sadist and drive to Washington State and freedom from zombies. I don't know. Maybe you drive through Michigan. You decide to go through a lake. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So we all agree 15 days is a long day to drive, but it's zombie outbreak time, and so you're driving along. And you basically get kind of it's like twofold, right? There will be dialogue choices that you sometimes get, like, do you want to go X or Y? Or, oh, you see a deer. Do you try to hit it with your car or shoot it or do nothing? And so you have some of those side outcomes. And then you will usually get thrown into the zombie the wall of death, right? Like you have to go into town, you got to get resources because, hey, you can't just stop for gas, no gas stations work or anything. So you have to go and you go to abandoned towns and scavenge for gas, food, medical supplies, and just random weird stuff. Like have a Valkyrie join your party because Valkyries are just chilling on Earth, right?
Well, you can apparently train dogs to drive a car because, dogs can drive cars.
I never got a dog to drive my car. I know I have to.
I didn't either. I just know you can.
Yeah. So for the achievements, right? So Death Road to Canada has got a whopping 66 achievements, 65 which are currently obtainable. The Platinum, get every achievement. Looks like it's not working, however.
Why do they do Platinums on Xbox? They never work.
I don't know. But the dev, we did email back to the, I guess the developer, the PR group went back to the dev and said it is known. They do have a patch coming out, so it's going to be patched for PC, and then the patch is going to be released for Xbox One. So at least the good news is the developer's aware, and they said they have patched it, but however, until that patch is deployed, it is currently not obtainable, but they're aware and fixing it, which I guess is better than we don't care, too bad, right?
Especially for a studio or publisher. These guys, this is their first game on the Xbox at least. So for them to be at least on the ball and working at this, that's really awesome.
Yeah. So if you've been a long time listener to the podcast, you've probably heard us talk about this game. What was that? 2016? 2 years ago? Would have been
2016.
Yeah, so 2 PAXs ago, we saw this game, and it was being released for Steam, was not currently, in the works for Xbox, but it was one of those like, man, this game would be awesome if they did port it. So they did 2 years later. So sometimes those things you do see happen. But this game is I guess you get a lot of different scenarios. So you start your main party and you have different character classes, and as you go through run throughs, as you were saying, you get these things called zombie points, which you can use to level up your classes, because each time you start the game over, you lose all your weapons and everything starts over. However, whatever classes you've ranked up carry over. So I guess that's the roguelite-ish part, correct?
That's why I threw that on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, there's going to be certain achievements based on completing the game with certain classes. Then you have to do other run throughs where, like, as you said, you get a dog or you get a cat, or you don't lose your car, which your car could break down. So go get that mechanic class. And
there's one to make it through with never having a buddy, never adding anyone to your party, which one of the cool things about the way the game works is that if your leader dies, you get to just take one of the other party members to be your leader. However, if you're trying to do this entire thing solo, it is going to be it's going to be a death road.
Yeah. Yeah, you really, and that's the thing. You get some weapons, some of the stuff's random, but again, as you up your classes, you'll have a little bit of a better fighting chance to go. But you'll find like things. You saw that one run through. Everything was going great, and then it turned out I found out, oh, that's a pipe bomb, and I killed everybody in my party by accident. Like there it went.
And the thing is, scenarios like that happen all the time. Like you have the best run going, and then you get one of those insane zombie outbreaks, and you have to like wander through a zombie horde with all these burnt out cars for, I don't know, 5 minutes, a couple minutes, and trying to survive those is just insane. Especially, under the best circumstances, it's insane, and under the worst circumstances, if you need to heal up or who knows how bad you're for ammo or weapons. Ugh.
Yeah, it reminds me of like if you had the writers from The Walking Dead put a little humor into it, because you're sitting here going, oh, that's kind of funny, but you're like, wait, everything was going well, and now I'm down to one. Where did my leader go? I'm now being led by a foul. Like, what happened? It was so good. Everybody died. But at least the good news is you don't really get attached to anybody too much.
Oh yeah, I mean they don't really look like anything, which I guess is a good thing. I mean, and if you want, you can save the generic like the what do you call it? Like the stat list of your characters. So if you find a particular list of perks, a group of individuals that you like to work together with, you can save that and then make sure that you at least seed your starting leader and your buddy with skills that are beneficial to you, and then you pick up the party as you go.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you're like talking. I started using that, right? You use the mechanic as one of your classes because it's always good to have somebody repairing a car, and then pairing that with a medical person, because again, at least through your first through run throughs and all that, those are going to be your two things you need: health and a car. And
yeah, I mean, you can walk the death road, but it's much worse.
Yeah. It's yeah. So the graphics, I don't know. As retro games go, this is definitely on the 8-bit, definitely not 16-bit. If I was going to knock the game, that's where I was going to knock it. Not because, yeah, whatever, it's going for that retro feel, but man, I've just seen some other games do at least a better job with the retro graphic pixels. I mean, this wasn't bad, but it wasn't that great considering what else is out there.
Yeah, if you ask me, they spent more of their time working on the game, putting in those crazy scenarios and planning out all those different endings. That's what the game consists of. You're not playing it to make it for the pretty looks.
Yeah. But I mean, I loved the overplays when you're just driving and you're like, using the gas and then just suddenly happens. Or like, that screenshot with the nerds, which was just the quintessential timing of when we were at PAX and I would be driving past and be like, nerds! And you're like, dude, you were wearing a Tron jacket and going to PAX. And I'm like, I know, that's irony. Or coincidence. No, that's irony. Yeah, that's irony when I'm yelling nerds.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys are going to play Magic, bunch of nerds. And you're like, aren't you going to go trade pins? Like, shut up. Speaking of retro, I got my Legend of Zelda little zippy snack bag from the Nintendo store where I keep all of my cables and wiring in for my I love the whole retro thing. I love the nerds. So I think this game was definitely, where it had the nostalgia look to it. That was about the only thing. I don't remember any games like this back for the NES or the Super NES. And I think they put a lot of different dynamics into it. So while it has that very simplistic look, there's a lot more complexity to it playing through the game.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I guess I'd compare it something to like Oregon Trail mashed up with Zombie Party. If you remember, if anyone watched Spaz streaming that.
Oh, wait. And I just want to correct you right there. State, and it's still there. It's Oregon. It's not Oregon. It's Oregon. Oregon Trail.
Sorry, Oregon Trail.
There you go.
Which sounds like you're ripping your heart out. But anyways, because Oregon Trail was all about making those random decisions about, do I stop here? Do I pick this up? Do I add this person to the party?
God damn it, they died of cholera. Who gets cholera?
Right? I don't think I died of cholera in this, but I mean, you never know. I wouldn't put it past it.
Yeah.
And then like Zombie Party, because it was just that weird, shooting mechanic and the meleeing. Granted, I mean, this isn't quite as colorful, but I mean, you're killing zombies, so I mean, it kind of fits.
Yeah, and you definitely get that. Or if you're like taking the wrench and your guy's not very strong, he's all sweating, like, oh, I gotta find the golf club. But you can definitely swing a golf club better.
Yes, yeah. Look for golf clubs and crowbars. I think were the better melee weapons I found.
Yeah, guns not so much. This is the opposite of Zombie Party, where it's like, what was the point of melee weapons? Everything should be shooting. This, on the other hand, it's like you running out of ammo so quickly. You're like, just get a strong thing.
Heavy things are bad. Although the Valkyrie is cool, for some reason, swinging that hammer is rough. So,
well, it's Major. How do you pronounce Thor's hammer?
I'm not worthy.
Mjolnir or whatever. Somebody can correct my butchering of that term. Yeah, there's got to be a nerd listening to this. Is there any comments?
There's got to
be. I know there's some WWE nerds or wrestling nerds. By the way, that's all fake.
Don't break their dreams.
Oh, I'm all about breaking dreams and breaking some zombies' heads on my way to Canada on the Death Road. Speaking of which, the game we were reviewing, Death Road to Canada.
I guess just if I had to jump right back real quick to the achievements, I just kind of wanted to mention that the these are really long and time-consuming lists. You have to beat the game like, I don't know, what was it, 50-something times to get all these?
At least. Maybe 40. I think I lost count, but you just went around it. But it's a lot. It's a lot of playthroughs of this game.
And when those are all done, one of the achievements is to actually kill 100,000 zombies. You thought Dead Rising asked a lot. 100,000 zombies?
Yeah, and you're only going through a run, and you're getting, 26, 28 kills. So
I'm at 2%.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's so sad.
It's a
so
lot.
Be aware. There is work ahead of you. You have to beat this game on multiple different modes with multiple different configurations of your party, which I would say are luck-based if you actually get these particular skills on certain runs. Or people on certain runs. Yeah, it's the good thing for it is that it's fun. I mean, it's got that whole Oregon Trail thing going for it, where you just want to try again because it's the train wreck you get to control. You have to play it.
And it's not, and two things, right? Each playthrough is not excessively long. It's, under an hour. And at $15, you're going to get your gameplay out of this if you're going for a completion. It might be a little daunting, but I mean, I think they pegged this. I think they pegged the right price point, even not on sale. If it's even on sale for less than 15, I think it's a steal for how much play there is and just overall kind of what was put into it. As I said, the only knock I really gave on the game was the graphics. I mean, just in the retro feel, you could have done a little bit of better job with the retro feel, but I mean, everything out of the game is, in my opinion, pretty solid, especially at that price point.
Nope, agreed. See you guys on the Death Road.
Yeah, so pick it up. Death Road to Canada. It's a slaughtering good time, and that was probably a really, really bad pun. I didn't write that; somebody else did. But with that, anything else you want to add?
No, that covers it. I would say grab this because I mean nothing better than killing zombies and escaping to freedom in Canada.
Yeah, not only good health care, but some great coffee at a Tim Hortons, I hear.
Yeah, and no zombies.
Yeah,
big
hey,
plus.
buddy. All right, well, with that, I will see you all in 2 weeks, and I guess you'll be giving info over to Proulx and Mango for next week. So, till then, thanks, Warren.
Peace.
Well, everybody, it's time for another community roundup. Well, as always, let's start with the GTASC 2018. So last week I got the periods wrong. Well, this one is definitely right. It is 19 that we just wrapped up, and that was updated on May 23rd. Our top Zed for the period 19, Eat, Sleep, Complete, Repeat. Smirnoff Redemption got second overall. And our near miss, what? It takes Proulx to Mango. The team of Proulx and Mighty Mango, 12 places over elimination, a mere 320 TA. We did, unfortunately, have an elimination. 2 of our illustrious community members for Dough's About to Rock. Doughboy and Rocker dead. Yep, they're gone, eliminated from the team competition. Sorry, it had to go out this way. As far as the individual side, well, Smirnoff takes the top spot. That's right, number 1 overall. Our near miss, CS Geek Squad. He made it 11 places above elimination, just 100 TA, keeping him alive. That, of course, after burning 3,000 points in bonuses. So I hope you enjoyed your week off, Geek Squad. Or are you just, spinning around the circle of the toilet? I guess, I don't know. Eliminated, well, Kronos was eliminated. He missed out by less than 100 TA, real close. And, of course, Rocker dead. He could not survive he couldn't help his team, and likely was the reason they got kicked out. So, there's that. Hey, guys, it is June, right around the corner, so we got another month of random to-do lists coming up. Make sure we get our brand new lists here on Friday, a couple days after this releases. June 1st should be a lot of fun. Get chipping away. If you got eliminated from your May list, right, you didn't unlock a single achievement, you are totally fine just to ask for another list. or any of our listeners. You can ask for a list on June 22nd if you wanted. You can ask for a list on June 28th. It doesn't matter when you ask. We would be happy to give you one. And if you get eliminated, just ask to get back on. It's those people who have left the server. We don't need to bog down all of our scanning time by keeping dead weight around. So if you just had a busy month, hey, the weather's getting nice. I don't blame you. Go outside, play a little bit. But the random to-do lists, always active, always fun. So jump on in. Community Challenge, we are wrapping up May. Star Wars games. Again, you get 1 entry per month, 5 entries if you had a previous completion, and of course 10 entries if you completed them this month. That would be amazing. As far as what we got coming up for the month of June, June, I'm going to take this from M. Sewerin when he did his overly convoluted achievement hunt spectacular or whatever, the MOCAS last year, because it was brilliant. This one, June, it's E3, guys. June is E3, and that means any game right now that contains exactly 3 E's in the title. So, if you have a game that has exactly 3 E's, and that is the true achievements title without all that other gobbledygook at the end, 3 E's in that title, any achievement earned in that game will get you an entry into the pool, the raffle. So good luck on that one. As far as gamer tag challenge goes for the month, of course, this month we are wrapping up for May. Hopefully you got Matthew H00 done, MATTHEWH00. If you couldn't keep up with my spelling, feel free to join us over at the forums, forum.z2z.com. You can see the spelling there. And you can also see our June name, which is Skeptical Mario. Wonderful listener to the show, active in Discord. It is great, and so we are going to honor him by doing his gamer tag this month of June. The final thing, June's Game of the Month, we heard on the show. Of course, we're wrapping up May, and if you want to see any of our coverage for the Game of the Month, head over to our YouTube channel, z2z.com, youtube.com/z2z. That's we have a playlist each month of my streams, and then if there's other community members that want to submit streams or things that they've done and get the community involved, that's great. Of course, you can always head over to Discord, discord.io/z2z as an invite for anyone to get in there. And we have a Game of the Month channel, and so you can come and talk and chit chat and explore the wonderful world that we talk about. So hopefully we see you over there. And then of course Patreon. If you listen to this show before June 1st, or I guess the end of May, you still have an opportunity to get into this the last chance for the Patreon of the month. Of course, we give away a full retail Xbox title every month. So you can increase your chances the more you contribute, and if you do contribute more, thank you. If you contribute anything, thank you. You guys keep the show alive. You do everything for us. You let us do what we love to do and provide you a show each week. It is wonderful. We couldn't do it without you. And so, we want to give back and make sure that you guys know you're appreciated. So that is one way we can do it. And, obviously we would love to do more. We also get a fancy shiny gold name in Discord too. If you can't support us financially, I totally understand. That's a big ask for a bunch of strangers that you don't know. Hopefully you can call us your fake friends now. But even that, you don't need to give money away willy-nilly. So just spreading the word. And for the longest time I've been saying iTunes. I forgot it's not called iTunes anymore. Apple Podcasts. You can do that, or whatever podcast service you listen to. Rating and reviewing us, and just literally just sending the podcast to a friend and saying, hey, I enjoy this. It's fun. You should listen. And hopefully we entertain. And if we don't entertain, you can let us know too over on Discord. That's a great place to go. I can't talk enough about Discord because we have tons of boosting groups, LFGs, a wonderful community over there. So if there are specific needs you have, feel free to ask over there. And if you just want a bunch of cool people to hang out with, that's the place to go. They're great. And there's always something going on. We got people around the world, Australia, Europe, the Middle East, United States, all coasts. So there's pretty much all, and we all have terrible sleep schedules. So we're pretty much up all the time. It's great. Anyway, thanks again for listening to the show. I hope you liked it. It was fun doing so. We'll catch you guys next week. Good luck.